Imagine standing before a forgotten relic, its purpose and origins hidden in the depths of time. What if the answers we've been searching for were right beneath our feet, waiting to defy everything we thought we knew about history? For centuries, archaeologists have unearthed artifacts and structures so baffling, so unexplained, that they challenge the very foundation of modern science. But what happens when the truth is more elusive than we ever imagined? Join us as we delve into 3+ hours of mind-bending discoveries that have left even the brightest minds speechless. The journey into the unknown starts now. Nestled deep within the rugged landscapes of the Andean highlands, far from the reaches of modern civilization, lies an enigmatic site known as Sechin Bajo. It is a place that appears to be untouched by time, yet its stone structures, carved reliefs, and intricate geometry speak of a civilization long forgotten. Here, amidst the quiet of the valley, history itself seems to be waiting to be uncovered, its secrets buried beneath centuries of dust and earth. Sechin Bajo is located in what is today northern Peru, in the region of Casma. The site, with its sprawling plazas and imposing walls, was once a vibrant center of the ancient world. It has been dated to approximately 1800 BC, a time when complex societies were beginning to take shape along the coasts and mountains of South America. It predates the more well-known civilizations of the Andes, such as the Nazca and the Inca, suggesting that something much older once thrived in this remote corner of the world. The sheer scale of Sechin Bajo is remarkable. Large stone platforms rise from the ground, their surfaces carved with intricate motifs, images of serpents, warriors, and other symbolic figures, each telling a story whose meaning has eluded scholars for decades. The walls of the complex are adorned with stone reliefs that seem to depict rituals and ceremonies, but their exact significance remains uncertain. What is clear is that the people of Sechin Bajo were masters of both art and architecture, using stone in ways that suggest an understanding of engineering and craftsmanship that was far ahead of its time. Yet, despite the size and complexity of the site, Sechin Bajo remains shrouded in mystery. The civilization that built it left behind no written records, no inscriptions that might provide a clearer understanding of who they were or what drove them. There is no known name for the people who inhabited Sechin Bajo, nor any surviving traditions or stories to fill in the gaps. What we know about them comes only from the fragments of stone and the remnants of their architecture, pieces that tell a story but refuse to give up their full meaning. The mainstream explanation for Sechin Bajo's origins is that it was built by the early ancestors of the Andean cultures that would later flourish in Peru. The site is often associated with the pre-Columbian Chavin culture, whose influence spread across much of the Andean region. This theory suggests that Sechin Bajo was part of a network of ceremonial centers connected by shared cultural and religious practices. However, many aspects of the site do not fully align with this narrative. For example, the architectural style and symbolism found at Sechin Bajo differ from what is seen at later Chavin sites, raising questions about whether the Chavin were truly the creators of Sechin Bajo or whether the site predates them by centuries. In fact, some scholars have proposed that Sechin Bajo may be far older than commonly believed. Recent carbon dating of organic material found at the site has suggested that its construction could date back as far as 2000 BC, or possibly even earlier. If this is the case, Sechin Bajo would predate not only the Chavin but also many of the other great cultures of the Americas, suggesting that it could have been the birthplace of a civilization whose influence spread throughout the continent. But this theory opens up new questions. If Sechin Bajo is older than the Chavin culture, who were its builders? And what was their role in the development of Andean civilization? Some researchers have speculated that the people of Sechin Bajo may have had contact with other ancient cultures, perhaps even those from distant lands. The possibility that this site could be part of a global network of early civilizations is an intriguing one, though it remains speculative at best. Even more baffling are the strange and unexplained elements found within the site itself. One of the most striking features of Sechin Bajo is its intricate network of water channels. These channels, which seem to have been designed with great precision, could have been used for irrigation or ceremonial purposes. Yet, no one is certain how such an advanced system was constructed without the aid of modern technology. How did the people of Sechin Bajo possess such knowledge of hydrology and engineering? And what role did water play in their religious and cultural practices? These are questions that remain unanswered. There are also the relief carvings that adorn the walls of Sechin Bajo. Some scholars have suggested that these carvings depict scenes of human sacrifice or ritual combat, but their true meaning is unclear. What purpose did these rituals serve? And how did the people of Sechin Bajo understand the world around them? These questions remain at the heart of the mystery. The absence of written records only deepens the intrigue. In a region where other ancient cultures left behind extensive records, from the Nazca lines to the Inca quipu, the silence of Sechin Bajo is all the more striking. Was this a culture that never developed writing? Or did its records simply disappear over time, lost to the ravages of history? What secrets could have been contained in those lost texts, if they ever existed? As with many ancient sites, the mystery of Sechin Bajo is not simply about uncovering the past, it's about questioning the assumptions that we hold about the origins of civilization. What if the people who built Sechin Bajo were not the ancestors of the Andean cultures we know today? What if they were part of a much older and more complex world that has long since vanished from memory? The answers to these questions may never be fully understood, but they continue to spark curiosity and debate among historians and archaeologists alike. As the dust of the Andean highlands settles, Sechin Bajo remains a place of quiet reflection and unsolved mystery. For now, its stones stand silent, holding the secrets of a civilization that, despite its ingenuity and complexity, may never speak again. What stories are still waiting to be uncovered beneath those ancient stones? And what will the next generation of explorers and archaeologists discover when they return to this forgotten corner of the world? Only time will tell. As we leave the stone walls of Sechin Bajo behind, the search for unexplained ancient wonders takes us to another mysterious site, one that is lesser known, yet equally captivating. Located in the heart of the Caucasus Mountains, in what is today Georgia, lies Shaori Fortress. This remote and imposing structure stands as a quiet sentinel, guarding its secrets deep within the rugged terrain, far from the prying eyes of modern civilization. Shaori Fortress is perched atop a hill that rises dramatically from the surrounding landscape, offering a commanding view of the valley below. The fortress itself is a blend of stone architecture and natural landscape, its walls seemingly carved from the mountain itself. What is most striking about Shaori is not just its formidable construction, but its location, an isolated peak, far removed from any major trade routes or urban centers, suggesting that whoever built it had a unique purpose in mind. Archaeologists have long debated the origins of Shaori Fortress, but it is generally agreed upon that it dates back to at least the 4th century BC, though some believe it could be much older. The fortress is attributed to the ancient kingdom of Colchis, a region that once thrived on the shores of the Black Sea. The Colchians were known for their rich culture, and their name is forever linked to the legend of Jason and the Argonauts, who journeyed to Colchis in search of the Golden Fleece. But while myth and legend have made their mark on the Colchian legacy, Shaori Fortress remains a far more enigmatic chapter, its true function still a mystery. The structure of the fortress itself is impressive. Its walls are made from large blocks of stone, precisely cut and stacked with minimal mortar, suggesting advanced architectural knowledge. The layout is simple, yet its scale and strategic positioning point to a place of great importance, perhaps a military outpost, a royal residence, or even a place of spiritual significance. The fortress features several large rooms, some of which have been interpreted as living quarters, others as storage areas, but none provide conclusive evidence as to the specific role Shaori played within the Colchian kingdom. What stands out most about Shaori Fortress, however, are the unexplained elements scattered throughout the site. Some of the stone carvings found within the walls appear to depict strange symbols, geometric patterns, and abstract figures that do not align with the art of neighboring cultures from the same time period. Were these carvings a form of communication, a ritualistic symbol, or something else entirely? Their meaning remains uncertain, adding to the air of mystery that surrounds the site. Equally puzzling are the hidden chambers found within the fortress. Archaeologists have uncovered a series of narrow, winding corridors, some of which lead to sealed-off rooms. These rooms contain no furniture, no obvious signs of use, but they are intricately designed, filled with carvings and inscriptions that defy easy interpretation. The placement of these hidden rooms suggests they may have been intentionally concealed, possibly for ceremonial or protective purposes. Were they meant to hold something of great importance? Or was the fortress designed to act as a hidden refuge for its inhabitants in times of danger? The lack of definitive evidence only deepens the intrigue. Over the years, a number of theories have emerged regarding the purpose of Shaori Fortress. The most widely accepted explanation is that it was a stronghold, built to protect the kingdom of Colchis from potential invaders. This theory aligns with the fortress's strategic location, high above the valley, providing both a defensive advantage and a commanding view of the surrounding area. Some scholars believe that the Colchians may have used Shaori as a base for their military campaigns or as a royal retreat, a place where the rulers of the kingdom could live in seclusion. However, there are other theories that suggest a more enigmatic role for the fortress. Some have speculated that Shaori was a religious site, connected to the spiritual practices of the Colchian people. The carvings found within the fortress, particularly those that resemble celestial bodies or abstract deities, have led some researchers to wonder if the site was used for ritualistic or astronomical purposes. Could Shaori have been an ancient observatory, a place where the movements of the stars were studied and linked to the kingdom's religious beliefs? Or was it a site where powerful ceremonies were performed, perhaps to ensure the kingdom's prosperity or protect it from supernatural forces? Another theory, which has garnered attention in recent years, suggests that Shaori Fortress might have served as a kind of time capsule, preserving the knowledge of an earlier civilization. Some proponents of this theory argue that the advanced architecture and seemingly out-of-place symbols indicate that the fortress was built by a culture with knowledge far beyond that of its contemporaries. Could the people of Shaori have been descended from an earlier civilization, one whose wisdom was lost to history? Or were they in contact with a distant and unknown culture, passing down secrets that have since been forgotten? While this theory is speculative, it invites us to question the extent of ancient knowledge and the possibility of lost histories that we may never fully understand. One of the most puzzling aspects of Shaori Fortress, however, is the lack of direct evidence connecting it to other known cultures of the time. The Colchians were contemporaries of the ancient Greeks, yet there are no clear records of Greek involvement with Shaori. There are no inscriptions, no artifacts linking the two civilizations in any meaningful way. This absence of direct connection only adds to the mystique of Shaori, as it seems to exist in a world of its own, isolated from the more well-known powers of the ancient world. The silence of Shaori Fortress stands in stark contrast to the bustling civilizations of the Mediterranean, the Near East, and the rest of the ancient world. What could explain this isolation? And why has this extraordinary structure, with its complex architecture and enigmatic symbols, remained so hidden for so long? Perhaps there is more to Shaori's story than we have yet discovered, more secrets buried in the walls and hidden chambers of this mysterious fortress. As with so many ancient sites, Shaori remains an open question, a puzzle waiting to be solved. And as we continue to explore the untold stories of the past, the mystery of Shaori invites us to wonder, what is still hidden beneath the stones, waiting for the right discovery to unlock its secrets? Only time will reveal what lies beyond the fortress walls. Leaving behind the ancient walls of Shaori Fortress, we now travel to a far quieter and more desolate place, a site whose very purpose and significance remain a puzzle to this day. Hidden among the hills of the Scottish Highlands lies Cairn T, a megalithic structure whose construction dates back to around 3000 BC, at the height of the Neolithic period. Cairn T stands in stark contrast to its natural surroundings. Its stone chambers, carefully constructed and nearly hidden beneath layers of earth, seem almost out of place against the sweeping, rugged landscape that surrounds it. At first glance, Cairn T may appear to be a simple burial mound, a cairn like so many others that dot the hillsides of Scotland. But a closer look reveals something far more intricate and far more mysterious. This ancient monument, like others of its kind, was built with precision and care, a collection of stones arranged in such a way that its purpose cannot be merely accidental. Its size alone suggests it was no ordinary burial site. This was something more deliberate, more significant, and perhaps more complex than we have yet fully understood. The mound itself is a large circular cairn that rises above the landscape, encircled by a ring of large stones. Within its structure lies a chamber, and inside that chamber, though it has long since been looted, archaeologists have uncovered remnants of human remains, pottery, and the faintest traces of a once vibrant ritual life. But these remains are not the only thing that sets Cairn T apart. The alignment of the structure, its precise orientation to the rising and setting sun, raises the possibility that it was more than just a tomb. Was it a place of celestial observation, or perhaps a site where rituals connected to the heavens were conducted? This is where the mystery deepens. While Cairn T is undoubtedly an example of Neolithic craftsmanship, its true purpose remains elusive. Mainstream archaeological theories suggest that it was a burial site, a tomb for the elite or for an important individual. Burial mounds like Cairn T were common across northern Europe during this time, and many of them have been linked to social or religious practices centered around death and the afterlife. Yet, the precision with which Cairn T was built, along with the deliberate placement of stones, suggests a level of intention that goes beyond the simple act of burial. The layout of the cairn itself is particularly striking. The chamber at the center is constructed with large stones, placed carefully to create a space that would have been sealed off long ago. The mound above it, built with smaller stones, appears to have been added gradually over time, suggesting that the cairn may have served as a place of ongoing ritual activity for centuries. The careful arrangement of the stones and the presence of symbols etched into some of the stones have led some researchers to speculate that Cairn T may have served as an ancient observatory, perhaps used to track the movements of the stars, the moon, or the sun. Some even believe that the structure may have had an astrological or calendrical function tied to the cycles of nature. But these theories are not without their challenges. While there is evidence that some cairns were used for astronomical purposes, the lack of clear inscriptions or written records at Cairn T makes it difficult to determine whether this was indeed its primary function. Moreover, the idea of the cairn as a celestial observatory is not universally accepted. Some scholars argue that such an interpretation imposes a modern understanding of astronomy onto a society that may not have thought of the heavens in the same way we do today. Could the people who built Cairn T have used it purely for ceremonial or religious purposes, with no connection to the stars? The answer remains uncertain. Another puzzling aspect of Cairn T is its location. Situated on a remote hill in the highlands, far from any major settlements or trade routes, the cairn would have been difficult to access for anyone living in the surrounding areas. This raises the question, Why build such a monumental structure in a location that would have been inconvenient for most people? Was Cairn T designed to be a place of isolation, a site reserved for a select few? Or was it, as some theorists suggest, a pilgrimage destination, something that drew people from distant regions for ceremonial purposes? Without written records or clear evidence of its social role, it's impossible to know for certain. Perhaps most intriguing of all are the faint traces of ritualistic activity that have been found at Cairn T. While much of the site has been disturbed over the millennia, archaeologists have discovered evidence of feasting, sacrifices, and offerings made to the earth and the spirits of the deceased. These activities suggest that the people who constructed Cairn T viewed the mound not just as a place of burial, but as a powerful spiritual center, a place where the living could communicate with the dead or with the gods themselves. But what exactly was their belief system? What gods or spirits were they invoking, and how did they view death and the afterlife? These questions remain unanswered, leaving the spiritual practices of this ancient culture obscured in mystery. In recent years, some researchers have posited that Cairn T may not be an isolated anomaly, but part of a larger network of megalithic sites scattered across Europe, each serving a similar function, whether for burial, ritual, or celestial observation. This idea hints at a deeper cultural connection between disparate groups in prehistoric Europe, suggesting that the builders of Cairn T were part of a larger tradition, one that spanned regions and cultures. Could Cairn T have been linked to other great megalithic sites like Stonehenge or the Passage Tombs of Ireland? Or was it a completely independent structure with its own unique significance? The possibility of a widespread cultural network with shared beliefs and practices adds another layer of intrigue to the mystery of Cairn T. As we step back and consider the evidence, fragments of pottery, faded symbols on stone, the carefully constructed walls of the chamber, it's clear that Cairn T is far more than just a burial site. It is a testament to the ingenuity and spiritual beliefs of a long-forgotten people whose connection to the earth and the cosmos remains shrouded in the passage of time. Yet, despite centuries of study, the true purpose of Cairn T remains hidden in the mists of prehistory. Why did its creators choose this remote location? What did they believe about death and the afterlife? And how did they perceive the cosmos and their place within it? The answers to these questions may never be fully revealed. But the very fact that Cairn T still stands, weathered by time yet defiant, invites us to keep searching. What else might still be buried beneath the stones, waiting to reveal its secrets to those who are willing to look? As we leave the mist-covered hills of Cairn T behind, we shift our gaze across the vast expanse of time and space, landing in the heart of Mesoamerica, where an ancient and enigmatic civilization once flourished. Deep within modern-day Mexico, hidden beneath the sweltering sun and the shadows of towering trees, lies the Cuicuilco Circular Pyramid. Its unmistakable circular form rises from the earth, a remnant of a time long past, yet still standing as a testament to an unknown culture's architectural ambition and spiritual beliefs. The pyramid, unlike the angular step pyramids seen in other parts of the ancient world, stands as a rare and striking anomaly. Its circular base, measuring over 50 meters in diameter, is an oddity in the landscape of pre-Columbian Mexico. While most pyramids in the region are characterized by their tiered rectangular shapes, the Cuicuilco pyramid offers a smooth, continuous curve, an elegant yet imposing structure that seems to defy conventional building practices of the time. Dating back to around 800 BC, Cuicuilco was part of one of the earliest urban centers in the Valley of Mexico, a region later dominated by the mighty Aztecs. The site was once a thriving hub, inhabited by a people who developed sophisticated agricultural systems and constructed vast cityscapes. Today, Cuicuilco is often overshadowed by the more famous ruins of Teotihuacan and Tenochtitlan, yet it is one of the earliest examples of monumental architecture in the Americas, providing a unique window into the cultural and religious practices of a lost civilization. The pyramid's construction, as it stands, is both simple and complex. The building material, primarily volcanic rock, was abundant in the area, allowing the ancient builders to create a structure that could withstand the test of time. Archaeologists have found evidence that the pyramid's construction spanned several stages, with the largest and most prominent version appearing around 400 BC. Its circular form was likely intended for symbolic purposes, possibly representing the cosmos, the cycle of life, or the eternal motion of the sun. In some ways, the circular shape hints at a deeper understanding of the universe, a desire to model the natural world and its rhythms. But while the architectural feats at Cuicuilco are impressive, it is the unanswered questions surrounding the site that truly spark curiosity. Most notably, Cuicuilco's abrupt decline remains shrouded in mystery. Unlike other Mesoamerican civilizations which gradually evolved over centuries, the Cuicuilco culture appears to have collapsed suddenly, around 100 AD. Evidence suggests that the area was abandoned in the face of a catastrophic event. Many theorize that a volcanic eruption, possibly from nearby Zittel volcano, buried the city and its pyramid beneath layers of ash and lava, leaving it all but forgotten for over a millennium. The eruption, though destructive, also preserved the pyramid in a strange way, allowing it to survive the ravages of time and weather. But how did the people of Cuicuilco respond to this disaster? Did they foresee it coming? And if so, did the pyramid hold a deeper meaning for them, perhaps as a refuge, a spiritual center, or a place to connect with the divine in the face of a cataclysm? The lack of written records makes it impossible to answer these questions with certainty, leaving only speculation in its wake. Even more baffling is the potential connection between Cuicuilco and other advanced Mesoamerican cultures. While the site is often considered a precursor to later civilizations like Teotihuacan, there are elements of Cuicuilco's construction that challenge conventional understanding. The precision with which the circular pyramid was designed suggests a level of architectural sophistication that might have been shared across different cultures or regions. Could the people of Cuicuilco have influenced the architectural designs of Teotihuacan or even other distant cultures? Some have suggested that there may have been trade routes or cultural exchanges that we have yet to fully uncover. If this is true, it raises an even greater question. How far did the reach of Cuicuilco's influence extend, and what kind of connections did these early Mesoamerican cultures have with each other? The religious practices at Cuicuilco, too, remain a topic of intense debate. The circular pyramid, unlike the more traditional step pyramids, could have been designed with a specific religious or cosmological purpose in mind. Many Mesoamerican cultures placed a high value on the cyclical nature of time, and the circular shape of the pyramid could have been a symbol of the endless cycles of life, death, and rebirth. Could the structure have been used for astronomical observations, much like other Mesoamerican pyramids? Some suggest that it may have been an observatory, strategically positioned to align with celestial events, marking the movement of the sun or stars. But the lack of concrete evidence makes this theory speculative at best. Interestingly, some have drawn comparisons between the Cuicuilco pyramid and other ancient circular structures around the world, such as the famed Stonehenge in England. While the purpose of these structures may differ, their shared circularity sparks a deeper curiosity about ancient peoples' common symbolic connections to the cosmos. Was the circular form a universal expression of sacred geometry, a way for disparate cultures to understand the cycles of the universe and their place within it? Or were these structures, like Cuicuilco, entirely unique to their time and region? As we explore these possibilities, we are left with an unsettling realization. Cuicuilco may not just be a precursor to the great Mesoamerican civilizations that followed. It may be a relic of a much older, more complex world, a civilization that reached for the stars, built monuments to the heavens, and vanished without a trace. The collapse of Cuicuilco, likely caused by a natural disaster, has left us with little more than fragmented ruins and tantalizing clues to what once was. Were the people of Cuicuilco aware of the impending eruption, and if so, what role did their sacred pyramid play in their understanding of the universe's forces? Was the circular pyramid built to endure the unpredictable forces of nature, or was it an expression of their understanding of the cosmos, an attempt to link the world of the living with the divine? Or was Cuicuilco's sudden collapse merely a tragic twist of fate, one that left behind only a monument to a forgotten people? As we continue to uncover the stories of ancient civilizations like Cuicuilco, we are reminded of how little we truly know about the past, and how many mysteries still lie hidden beneath the earth, waiting to be discovered. As we leave behind the sun-baked pyramids of Cuicuilco, our journey now carries us across the vast expanse of Europe, where a quieter, yet no less perplexing mystery awaits. Here, on the rugged coast of Brittany, France, sits an ancient monument that predates even the earliest pyramids of Egypt. The Cairn of Barnenez, a megalithic structure so old it seems to whisper of a forgotten age, stands on a windswept hillside overlooking the sea, a monument whose purpose, construction, and creators remain cloaked in uncertainty. The Cairn of Barnenez is no ordinary burial mound. At over 75 meters in length and 12 meters in height, it is one of the largest and most remarkable examples of Neolithic architecture in all of Europe. Constructed around 6,000 years ago, the cairn is made up of thousands of massive stones, carefully arranged to form a structure that seems to rise naturally from the land itself. It is a place where stone and earth are fused in a harmonious way, blending seamlessly into the landscape, yet its sheer scale commands attention from those who stand before it. At first glance, the Cairn of Barnenez appears to be little more than a hill, an imposing mound that stretches out across the countryside. But a closer inspection reveals a far more intricate design. The mound is punctuated by a series of burial chambers, some of which have been excavated, revealing stone passageways that wind deep into the earth. Inside these chambers, archaeologists have uncovered an assortment of prehistoric artifacts, including pottery, flint tools, and animal bones, remnants of a people whose daily life remains distant, but whose connections to the land were clearly profound. The structure's sheer scale and complexity make it clear that the Cairn of Barnenez was not just a simple burial site. Unlike other megalithic monuments, which often feature a single tomb or a small number of burial chambers, Barnenez is a vast necropolis with over 30 individual chambers, many of them aligned in a way that suggests an understanding of space and architecture that was far ahead of its time. What motivated its builders to undertake such a monumental project, especially when they had no written records or clear evidence of a centralized society? Was it the work of a powerful elite, or the collective effort of an entire community? These questions remain unanswered. The cairn's construction, however, is not the most perplexing aspect of this site. What truly sets the Cairn of Barnenez apart are the numerous carvings and symbols found within its chambers. These markings, abstract geometric patterns, spirals, and lines, are etched into the stones, and some of them appear to have been intentionally placed to align with the natural rhythms of the sun and the moon. The precise meaning of these carvings remains a subject of great debate among archaeologists and historians. Could they represent early forms of writing, or perhaps a sophisticated form of symbolic expression? Some speculate that these carvings were a means of communication with the gods, while others suggest that they may have had a more practical purpose, perhaps related to the tracking of time or celestial events. One theory that has been proposed is that the Cairn of Barnenez may have functioned as an astronomical observatory. Given its orientation and the alignment of its chambers, it is possible that the people who built it used the structure to track the movements of the sun, the stars, or the moon. The alignment of the chambers, with certain passages directly facing the horizon, suggests that celestial events, such as solstices or lunar cycles, may have played a key role in the rituals or ceremonies conducted at the site. Could the cairn have served as a sacred space for early astronomers, a place where the rhythms of the heavens were studied and understood? If so, what did these ancient people believe about the cosmos, and how did they incorporate this understanding into their daily lives? However, the notion of Barnenez as an astronomical observatory is far from universally accepted. Some scholars argue that there is insufficient evidence to support such a claim, pointing out that the alignment of the cairn could simply be coincidental, or that its construction was guided by other, more practical concerns. Others suggest that the markings inside the chambers may have had a purely ceremonial purpose, tied to the spiritual beliefs of the people who built it. Could these carvings be early forms of mythological symbolism, telling stories about the sun, the moon, and the stars? Or were they simply decorative, perhaps meant to represent the relationship between the living and the dead, as is often the case with megalithic structures from this period? What makes the Cairn of Barnenez even more intriguing is its isolation. Situated far from the centers of other known Neolithic cultures, it appears to have been built by a people who were not directly connected to the larger, more well-documented civilizations of the time. There is little evidence of significant trade or cultural exchange between the builders of Barnenez and the peoples of southern Europe, leaving one to wonder, who were these people, and what did they know that was lost to the ages? Could they have been part of a wider, now forgotten network of megalithic cultures, each with its own unique customs, practices, and beliefs? Or was the Cairn of Barnenez the work of an isolated group with knowledge that was never shared with others? The fact that the cairn's true purpose remains a mystery only deepens its allure. While other megalithic monuments, such as Stonehenge or the dolmens of northern Europe, have been the subject of extensive study, Barnenez remains one of the least understood. Its builders left behind no written records, no inscriptions to explain the significance of their monumental creation. What they did leave, however, is a monument that endures, a structure whose mystery continues to captivate the imagination of all who visit. What did the people of Barnenez believe about death, the cosmos, and the cycles of life? Were they aware of forces that we have long since forgotten? Or were they simply responding to the natural world with the tools and knowledge they had at their disposal? And what, if anything, did they hope to convey with the elaborate carvings inside the cairn? These are questions that may never be answered, but they are questions worth considering as we reflect on the Cairn of Barnenez, a place where time itself seems to stand still, holding its secrets just out of reach. As we continue our journey through the ancient world, we are reminded once again of the many mysteries that still lie hidden beneath the earth. The Cairn of Barnenez may have been built thousands of years ago, but it still speaks to us in ways that are difficult to fully comprehend. What other ancient structures, lost to the sands of time, remain waiting to be uncovered? And what knowledge, once held by the people of Barnenez, might still be waiting to be rediscovered? The answers may be hidden, but the search is far from over. As we leave the windswept shores of Barnenez, our journey takes us across the Mediterranean, to a place where stone meets sky, and history seems to whisper from the earth itself. On the island of Malta, nestled between the rugged hills and verdant fields, lies a site that has baffled archaeologists and historians for centuries: the Tarxien Temples. A megalithic complex dating back to around 3000 BC, these ancient structures stand as a testament to the skill and mystery of the people who built them, and a reminder that there is still so much we do not know about the distant past. The Tarxien Temples are an architectural marvel, constructed with large blocks of limestone that have withstood the test of time. The site consists of 4 main temples, each built with remarkable precision and intricacy. Their design is far more advanced than one might expect for a culture so early in history. Some of the blocks used in the construction weigh several tons, yet they were arranged with a level of craftsmanship that suggests a deep understanding of engineering. The temple's walls, which were once adorned with beautiful carvings, are now worn by centuries of weather and time. Yet, even in their current state, the complexity of the structures remains striking. The layout of the Tarxien Temples is unlike that of many other ancient religious sites. Each temple is connected by a series of corridors and passageways, leading from one to another in a manner that suggests deliberate planning. The chambers are organized in a way that reflects an advanced understanding of space and alignment. Archaeologists have discovered that many of these chambers were used for ritual purposes, with altars and large stone tables, suggesting they were sites of offerings and ceremonies. The care and thought put into the design of these temples imply that they held a significant role in the spiritual and social life of the ancient Maltese people. Despite their monumental size and the impressive skill required to build them, the true purpose of the Tarxien Temples remains elusive. Was this complex merely a religious center, a place where people gathered to honor their gods and perform rituals, or could it have served another, more mysterious function? The carvings found within the temples offer tantalizing clues. Intricate depictions of animals, including wild boars, goats, and other creatures, adorn the walls, suggesting a connection to the natural world. Some researchers speculate that these symbols could have represented the gods themselves, or perhaps served as a form of ancient storytelling, telling the myths and legends of the people who created them. One of the most striking features of the Tarxien Temples is the presence of large, mysterious statues, known as the statues of the Mother Goddess. These figures, which depict women with exaggerated voluptuous features, are thought to represent fertility, motherhood, or perhaps the earth itself. The symbolism surrounding these statues is powerful, hinting at a society that may have placed great emphasis on the cycles of life and death. Yet, what remains puzzling is the absence of male figures. Why did the builders of the Tarxien Temples focus so heavily on female representations? Was this a society where women held a central role, or is there another, deeper explanation? Even more enigmatic are the megalithic carvings found throughout the site. Some researchers suggest that these carvings represent early forms of writing, though the symbols have never been fully deciphered. Could they be the remnants of a lost language, one that vanished along with the culture that created it? Or could these carvings have been a form of ritualistic magic, designed to invoke divine protection or bring about favorable outcomes in life? The question of what these symbols truly mean remains unanswered, leaving us to wonder if the key to understanding the Tarxien Temples lies in the interpretations yet to be made. While the mainstream view holds that the Tarxien Temples were part of a religious system, there are fringe theories that suggest something even more remarkable. Some claim that the temples were not only places of worship, but centers of astronomical observation, designed to align with the stars, the sun, or the moon. The precision with which the temples are laid out could indicate that the builders were keenly aware of celestial movements. Could the Tarxien Temples have been used to mark the passage of time, or even to predict the seasons? If so, what was the relationship between the celestial bodies and the people who built them? Did they believe that their actions on earth were directly influenced by the movements of the heavens? Adding to the mystery is the fact that the Tarxien Temples were abandoned around 2000 BC, long before the rise of the Phoenician and Roman civilizations in the Mediterranean. Why did such an advanced society leave behind these magnificent structures? Was it a natural disaster, such as a massive earthquake, that caused the people to abandon the site? Or did the cultural and religious practices of the time simply shift, leading to the decline of the temple's significance? Some archaeologists have speculated that the temple complex was abandoned due to the rising influence of new religious ideas, perhaps brought to the island by external forces or travelers. Another theory suggests that the site may have been deliberately buried or hidden to protect it from invading forces. If the temples were considered sacred, might they have been concealed to preserve their sanctity? The fact that the site remained hidden for thousands of years, only rediscovered in the 19th century, lends some credence to this idea. The temple's location, nestled within the hills of Malta, could have been chosen for its strategic importance, allowing them to be easily concealed from the outside world. Yet, despite these theories, we still lack conclusive evidence as to why the Tarxien Temples were built, or why they were eventually abandoned. What were the true beliefs of the people who constructed them? Were they simply part of a broader religious system, or was there something more to these structures, something we have yet to uncover? Could the Tarxien Temples be more than just a place of worship, but a key to understanding a forgotten civilization's connection to the land, the stars, and the natural world? As we stand before these ancient stones, we are reminded of the limits of our understanding. The Tarxien Temples stand as a silent, enduring testament to the people who built them, their lives, and their beliefs. And yet, the mystery of their true purpose, like so many ancient wonders, remains just beyond our grasp. Could there be more hidden within these walls, waiting for a discovery that will unlock their secrets? Or are we only seeing a fragment of a much larger story, one that will forever remain a shadow on the horizon? Only time and further exploration may reveal the answers.
Others have speculated that the dolmen was part of a much larger network of sacred sites, a focal point in a landscape that was rich with spiritual and ritual significance. Could there be other dolmens scattered across the region, all linked together by invisible lines of spiritual power or celestial alignments? Some researchers have drawn comparisons between the Dolmen de Grande do Zambujeiro and other megalithic tombs found across Europe, such as those in Brittany, Ireland, and the British Isles. These similar structures, with their alignment to the heavens, suggest that a shared tradition of stone worship and celestial observation might have united ancient communities across vast distances. Did the people of Iberia learn from or share ideas with other megalithic builders? Or was the construction of such tombs a universal practice among ancient societies? The carvings found on the stones at the dolmen are equally mysterious. Though not as elaborate as those found at other megalithic sites, some of the stones bear faint geometric designs and symbols that seem to hint at a deeper, hidden meaning. Are these markings merely decorative, or do they hold a key to understanding the beliefs and practices of the people who built the dolmen? Could they represent a form of ancient writing, a language or script that has long since been lost to time? Some suggest that these carvings may have served as a form of astronomical code, a way of recording celestial events or tracking the movements of the stars and planets. If so, what knowledge might have been encoded in these symbols, and why was it hidden in plain sight? As we explore the Dolmen de Grande do Zambujeiro, it is hard not to wonder what the people who built it truly believed. What drove them to construct such a monumental structure, and why did they choose this particular site, nestled in the hills of southern Portugal, to house their dead? Was this tomb a symbol of power and prestige, or was it a sacred space built to honor the gods and to facilitate the passage of the soul from this world to the next? The mystery of the Dolmen de Grande do Zambujeiro remains unsolved. Despite centuries of study, archaeologists continue to struggle to understand the full significance of this ancient tomb. As we stand before it, we are reminded that, for all our advances in knowledge and technology, there is still much that we do not know about the people who came before us. Could this dolmen be part of a larger story? A story that stretches across the megalithic sites of Europe, linking them together in ways that we are only beginning to understand. What secrets might still lie hidden beneath the stones, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves? As the sun sets behind the hills, casting long shadows over the dolmen, we are left to ponder these questions, wondering what truths might still be concealed in the stones that have stood silent for thousands of years.
Having traveled through the megalithic structures of Malta, we now turn our attention to the heart of the Balkans, to a site that, until recently, was little known outside archaeological circles. On the slopes of the Kozjak Mountain in present-day North Macedonia lies Kokino, a megalithic observatory that continues to challenge everything we thought we knew about ancient cultures and their understanding of the cosmos. Unlike the well-known sites such as Stonehenge or the Egyptian pyramids, Kokino is not defined by grandeur or vast scale. Instead, it is defined by its quiet, intricate precision, a mysterious complex of stones that seem to whisper of forgotten knowledge, and a time when the heavens were not only observed but understood with remarkable sophistication. The Kokino Megalithic Observatory is a marvel of engineering and astronomical alignment, yet it has remained largely overshadowed by other ancient wonders. First discovered in 2001, Kokino's purpose and significance were initially unclear. Its remote location, on a small plateau at an altitude of over 1,000 meters, suggests that it was a place reserved for a select group of people, possibly a priestly or scholarly class. The site itself consists of a series of stone markers, arranged in such a way that they align with key astronomical events, such as solstices, equinoxes, and lunar movements. The stones are arranged in concentric circles, with a central altar-like platform from which the sky would have been observed, offering an unobstructed view of the heavens. From the vantage point of Kokino, the landscape unfurls dramatically, with expansive views of the surrounding mountains and valleys below. This stunning backdrop, combined with the precision of the stone arrangements, suggests that the builders of Kokino were not only aware of the natural world, but possessed an advanced understanding of celestial mechanics. The site is thought to have been in use during the 19th to 17th centuries BC, during the Bronze Age, long before the rise of ancient Greek astronomy, and well before the technological advancements that would later define civilizations like Egypt and Mesopotamia. How could a society with no written language and limited tools have constructed such a precise and complex observatory? As we look more closely at the stone structures, the answers begin to unfold in small, tantalizing fragments. Archaeologists have found evidence that the stones were deliberately placed to align with specific solar and lunar events. The most striking of these alignments is the sight line to the rising sun during the summer solstice. At dawn, the first rays of light would have illuminated the stones in a pattern that could be seen from the central platform, marking a sacred moment in the year. Similarly, the site features alignment with the lunar cycles, suggesting that the people who built Kokino were keenly aware of the movements of the moon and its influence on agriculture, tides, and even ritual. Could the builders have used the cycles of the moon for planting and harvesting, much as other ancient cultures did? But Kokino is not merely an observatory. Its significance goes far beyond its function as a tool for tracking the heavens. The site seems to have been a focal point for ritual, a place where the spiritual and the celestial converged. Some of the stones at Kokino are carved with geometric patterns and symbols, though their meaning remains unclear. These carvings are unlike any known writing systems of the time, raising the possibility that they may represent an early form of symbolic communication, possibly a form of early religious or ritualistic language. Could these carvings have been a way to mark important celestial events, or to communicate with gods or spirits believed to reside in the stars? One of the most compelling mysteries of Kokino lies in its possible connection to other ancient astronomical sites. The precision of the alignments suggests a deep knowledge of the stars, and yet no clear explanation has been provided for how this knowledge might have been passed down. Was Kokino an isolated phenomenon, or could it have been part of a wider network of ancient observatories that spanned across Europe and Asia? Researchers have pointed to similarities between Kokino and other megalithic sites, such as the aforementioned Stonehenge in Britain and the lunar observatories in Ireland. Could these sites have shared knowledge, passing down a common tradition of celestial observation across millennia? Or were they independently developed, with each culture finding its own way to connect with the cosmos? As we leave behind the celestial precision of the Kokino Megalithic Observatory, We now find ourselves in the heart of West Africa, where a different kind of mystery awaits, one that connects the earth itself with the ancient rhythms of the cosmos. On the undulating plains of the Senegambia region, a hidden network of stone circles has puzzled historians and archaeologists alike. Known as the Stone Circles of Senegambia, these remarkable structures, scattered across modern-day Senegal and the Gambia, reveal a fascinating blend of cultural sophistication and astronomical alignment. Yet their true purpose remains as enigmatic as the day they were first discovered. The Senegambia stone circles, often referred to as the African Stonehenge, are made up of over 1,000 individual circles, with the largest and most intricate clusters found near the village of Wasu in the Gambia. These circles vary in size, some reaching over 30 meters in diameter, while others are small, barely noticeable if you're not paying close attention. What is immediately striking, however, is the careful arrangement of these stones. The large granite boulders that make up each circle are arranged in concentric formations, and many of the stones are finely carved with patterns and symbols that hint at their deeper meaning. Though they share some similarities with the megalithic structures of Europe, there is something uniquely African about the way these stones are positioned, something that speaks to the culture, the people, and the landscape that birthed them. The circles themselves are positioned with a remarkable precision, with some aligning to specific celestial events such as the rising and setting of the sun and moon, or the positions of key stars and constellations. These alignments suggest that the builders of the Senegambian stone circles were not simply creating burial monuments or ceremonial spaces. They were marking time, tracking the seasons, and perhaps even engaging in a sophisticated form of astronomical observation. The similarities between these stone circles and other ancient astronomical sites, such as those found at Stonehenge, are striking. And yet, there is no definitive evidence that the people of Senegambia were influenced by outside cultures. Instead, it seems as though the Senegambian builders were charting their own course, drawing inspiration from their natural surroundings and their understanding of the universe. The stones themselves are intriguing as well. The majority of the stones used in the construction of these circles are not sourced from the immediate area, but are instead transported from places several kilometers away. This raises an immediate question. How did the builders of these circles move such large stones? Were they using simple tools and manpower, or did they possess techniques that we have long since forgotten? The sheer scale of the effort involved in transporting and arranging these stones suggests a level of organization, cooperation, and technological expertise that we might not expect from a society living so far from the great urban centers of the ancient world. Could the builders of the Senegambia stone circles have developed their own methods of engineering, knowledge of materials, or even a form of written language to record their work? What makes the Senegambian stone circles even more intriguing is the lack of written records. While we have ancient texts from civilizations such as Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Greece, no written accounts of the stone circles in Senegambia have ever been discovered. The people who built them left behind no inscriptions, no hieroglyphs, and no written narratives to explain their purpose. All that remains is the stone, silently standing for millennia, telling its story in the language of geometry and alignment. And yet, these silent stones offer more than just a mystery. They offer a glimpse into the deep spiritual and intellectual life of a long-lost society. There is some evidence to suggest that the stone circles may have been linked to ancient burial practices. Some of the smaller circles contain human remains, leading archaeologists to speculate that these were sacred spaces used for the ritual of burial, or perhaps the commemoration of ancestors. These stones could have been more than markers for the dead. They might have served as symbols of continuity, connecting the living with the spiritual realm and marking the cycles of life and death. The circles themselves may have represented a cosmic order, with each stone symbolizing a piece of the greater whole, forming a microcosm of the universe itself. However, the true purpose of the Senegambian stone circles goes beyond mere burial rituals or astronomical observations. Some scholars have proposed that the circles were used for ritualistic ceremonies, connecting people to the divine forces of nature, the cosmos, and the earth. This idea is supported by the discovery of artifacts near some of the larger stone circles, items such as pottery, tools, and other ceremonial objects. These findings suggest that the circles were not just passive structures, but active sites of spiritual and social significance. Could these stone circles have been a form of ancient temple, a place where people gathered to perform rituals meant to honor the forces of nature, or even to engage in some form of cosmic worship? Did the builders of these circles believe that the stones themselves had power, perhaps drawing their strength from the alignment of the stars and the rhythms of the earth? There are, of course, more speculative theories surrounding the Senegambian stone circles. One such theory posits that these sites were not just astronomical observatories or ceremonial centers, but that they served a much grander purpose, possibly even as a form of global communication. Some researchers have suggested that the alignment of the stones could be part of a much larger network of ancient sites stretching across the African continent and beyond, each connected by an intricate system of celestial alignments and knowledge. Could these stone circles have been part of a lost civilization, one that spanned vast regions of Africa, with an understanding of the stars and the universe that we are only beginning to appreciate? Could they have communicated with distant cultures through these shared cosmic symbols? There is also the intriguing possibility that the Senegambian stone circles were somehow tied to the larger, unexplained mysteries of the ancient world. Some theorists suggest that the builders of these sites may have possessed knowledge far beyond what is typically attributed to ancient civilizations. Could they have known about celestial events, such as the precession of the equinoxes, thousands of years before it was discovered by later astronomers? Could they have understood the movements of the stars and the planets in ways that we are only beginning to grasp? Despite the wealth of questions, the answers remain elusive. The Senegambian stone circles, silent, weathered, and enduring, remain one of the most remarkable and least understood archaeological discoveries of the ancient world. Their purpose, their builders, and the knowledge embedded in their stone formations continue to defy our understanding. Was this a place of ritual, of science, or perhaps something in between? Could the circles have been built to honor the gods, track the heavens, or connect the living with the dead? Or could they represent something entirely different, a kind of cosmic map that reflects the ancient people's understanding of their place in the universe? As the stones continue to stand, their story is far from over. What other mysteries do these ancient circles still hold, waiting for the right questions to unlock their secrets? Only time and further exploration will tell. From the enigmatic stone circles of Senegambia, we now turn our gaze to the Iberian Peninsula, where another profound mystery awaits. Hidden deep in the countryside of southern Portugal, amidst the undulating hills of the Alentejo region, stands an ancient structure that has puzzled archaeologists and historians for centuries. The Dolmen de Anta Grande do Zambujeiro is one of the largest and most striking megalithic tombs in Europe, a structure that seems to defy time itself, standing as a silent testament to the ingenuity and spiritual practices of a long-forgotten people. The dolmen, which dates back to around 4,000 years ago, during the late Neolithic or early Bronze Age, is an awe-inspiring sight. It consists of a vast array of upright stones, some weighing several tons, that form the entrance to a burial chamber. The chamber itself is a long, rectangular structure, lined with massive stones that have weathered the passage of millennia. The burial chamber, which would have been once covered by a large stone cairn, is oriented in such a way that it seems to speak of deliberate design, its axis pointing towards the rising sun. This alignment suggests that the builders of the Dolmen de Grande do Zambujeiro were attuned to the rhythms of the cosmos, and the tomb may have had a ritualistic significance beyond its use as a burial site. As you stand before the dolmen today, the silence is profound. The stones are worn and scarred by the passage of time, yet they still retain an air of mystery. The precise purpose of this structure, like so many other ancient megalithic sites, remains shrouded in uncertainty. Was it a tomb, a place of ritual, or something else entirely? While the dolmen is undeniably a burial site, there is something about its size, its layout, and its careful placement that suggests it may have served other, more complex functions. The sheer scale of the dolmen raises immediate questions about the people who constructed it. How did they move these enormous stones, some weighing over 20 tons? The precision with which they were placed speaks to a level of engineering and organization that seems to contradict our understanding of ancient societies. Could the builders have had access to advanced knowledge of physics and engineering, or were they guided by a spiritual understanding of the world that enabled them to harness the power of the land, the stones, and perhaps even the heavens? One of the most striking features of the Dolmen de Grande do Zambujeiro is its location. Nestled in a valley, surrounded by gentle hills and expansive fields, it seems deliberately placed, chosen not only for its position on the land, but also for its relationship with the sky. The dolmen is aligned with the solstices, and the way the sun filters through the stones during certain times of the year suggests that it may have been designed to mark the changing seasons, a powerful ritual tied to the cycles of life and death. Could the builders have seen the dolmen as a link between the earthly realm and the divine, a portal through which the souls of the deceased could pass into the afterlife? The alignment of the dolmen with celestial events is not the only aspect of this site that points to its ritual significance. The careful arrangement of stones, with their smooth surfaces and deliberate placement, suggests that the site may have been a sacred space. The people who built the dolmen may have believed that the very stones themselves held spiritual power. Perhaps they viewed the massive stones as embodiments of ancestors, gods, or nature itself. Many megalithic sites are believed to have been used as places of spiritual connection, where communities gathered to perform ceremonies that sought to honor the dead, appease the gods, or ensure the fertility of the land. Was the Dolmen de Grande do Zambujeiro built as a space where the living could communicate with the divine, or could it have served as a site for rites of passage, where the deceased were honored in ways that transcended mere burial? Despite the dolmen's undeniable significance, there is still so much we do not know about its true purpose. Some scholars suggest that the dolmen was a symbol of social or political power, an expression of the elite's control over the landscape, the land's resources, and the spiritual life of the community. The sheer labor required to build such a structure would have demanded considerable organization, and it is possible that the dolmen represented not just a sacred space, but a way for those in power to assert their influence. Could the tomb have been the resting place of a high-ranking individual, a leader or shaman whose connection to the divine justified the monumental effort required to create such a site? Others have speculated that the dolmen was part of a much larger network of sacred sites, a focal point in a landscape that was rich with spiritual and ritual significance. Could there be other dolmens scattered across the region, all linked together by invisible lines of spiritual power or celestial alignments? Some researchers have drawn comparisons between the Dolmen de Grande do Zambujeiro and other megalithic tombs found across Europe, such as those in Brittany, Ireland, and the British Isles. These similar structures, with their alignment to the heavens, suggest that a shared tradition of stone worship and celestial observation might have united ancient communities across vast distances. Did the people of Iberia learn from or share ideas with other megalithic builders? Or was the construction of such tombs a universal practice among ancient societies? The carvings found on the stones at the dolmen are equally mysterious. Though not as elaborate as those found at other megalithic sites, some of the stones bear faint geometric designs and symbols that seem to hint at a deeper, hidden meaning. Are these markings merely decorative, or do they hold a key to understanding the beliefs and practices of the people who built the dolmen? Could they represent a form of ancient writing, a language or script that has long since been lost to time? Some suggest that these carvings may have served as a form of astronomical code, a way of recording celestial events or tracking the movements of the stars and planets. If so, what knowledge might have been encoded in these symbols, and why was it hidden in plain sight? As we explore the Dolmen de Anta Grande do Zambujeiro, it is hard not to wonder what the people who built it truly believed. What drove them to construct such a monumental structure, and why did they choose this particular site, nestled in the hills of southern Portugal, to house their dead? Was this tomb a symbol of power and prestige, or was it a sacred space, built to honor the gods and to facilitate the passage of the soul from this world to the next? The mystery of the Dolmen de Anta Grande do Zambujeiro remains unsolved. Despite centuries of study, archaeologists continue to struggle to understand the full significance of this ancient tomb. As we stand before it, we are reminded that, for all our advances in knowledge and technology, there is still much that we do not know about the people who came before us. Could this dolmen be part of a larger story? A story that stretches across the megalithic sites of Europe, linking them together in ways that we are only beginning to understand? What secrets might still lie hidden beneath the stones, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves? As the sun sets behind the hills, casting long shadows over the dolmen, we are left to ponder these questions, wondering what truths might still be concealed in the stones that have stood silent for thousands of years. As we journey through the megalithic mysteries of ancient burial sites, we now arrive in the rolling hills of Andalusia, Spain, where another monumental structure invites our curiosity and wonder. The Dolmen de Soto, a remarkable and somewhat enigmatic dolmen, stands quietly amidst the landscape, hidden from immediate view by the undulating terrain, yet demanding attention through its sheer presence. Larger and more complex than many of the dolmens scattered across the Iberian Peninsula, the Dolmen de Soto offers us a glimpse into a distant world of ritual, cosmology, and craftsmanship. Nestled just outside the town of Soto in southern Spain, the Dolmen de Soto is part of a larger megalithic complex that has remained largely untouched by time. It's a striking sight, its massive stones rising from the earth like silent sentinels of the past. The structure itself is a type of passage grave, with a long rectangular chamber formed by large, carefully positioned stones. Above, a large capstone, once placed with precision, crowns the chamber, lending the dolmen an air of both permanence and mystery. Around it, the landscape stretches wide, gently sloping hills, scattered with wild grasses and shrubbery, creating a scene that seems timeless, as if this place has always been, and always will be, a portal to the past. The dolmen, which dates back to around 3000 BC, is thought to have served as a burial site for the elite members of the society that once inhabited this region. The way it is constructed, using massive stones that had to be transported over considerable distances, hints at an advanced understanding of engineering, far beyond what one might expect from the people of the late Neolithic or early Bronze Age. Some of the stones in the chamber are so large that it would have required an immense effort to move them, leading us to wonder, how did these ancient people possess such knowledge of construction? Were they using rudimentary tools, or had they developed methods that we have since forgotten or overlooked? The layout of the Dolmen de Soto itself hints at a deeper purpose than simply providing a final resting place for the deceased. Unlike many other dolmens that are oriented according to simple geographical features, the Dolmen de Soto is precisely aligned with the sun. Specifically, the rays of the rising sun during the winter solstice. This alignment suggests that the dolmen may have had an astronomical or ritual significance. The builders of the dolmen may have believed that the alignment of the sun with the tomb was not simply an aesthetic choice, but an important spiritual one, a symbolic connection between the dead and the eternal cycle of life and death marked by the movement of celestial bodies. The chamber within the dolmen contains no inscriptions, no carvings, just the smooth, worn surfaces of the stones. Yet, its size and construction tell us something about the people who built it. The chamber is large enough to hold multiple individuals, suggesting that the burial practices of the time were not limited to a single person, but rather to a group, likely a family or a ruling class. The lack of written records makes it impossible to say for certain what the builders of the Dolmen de Soto believed about death and the afterlife. However, its scale and alignment to the solstice point to a culture that was keenly aware of the cycles of nature and the cosmos. Could the people who built the Dolmen de Soto have been engaging in ritual practices designed to honor the dead, to help guide their souls to the afterlife? Or perhaps the dolmen was not just a tomb, but a place of cosmic significance, marking a boundary between the world of the living and the world of the gods. The precise alignment with the winter solstice suggests that the passage of time, measured by the movements of the stars and the sun, was integral to the function of this site. Could the structure have been used for ceremonial purposes, as a place where the community gathered to mark the turning of the year, to celebrate life, death, and rebirth in the cycles of the seasons? The question of what the builders of the dolmen may have believed is further complicated by the fact that the Dolmen de Soto is part of a larger complex of megalithic structures scattered throughout the region. These sites, including other dolmens, menhirs, and burial chambers, suggest that the people of the area were not isolated, but part of a broader cultural and religious network. Were these ancient societies communicating through these structures, creating a landscape of sacred sites that were linked by shared beliefs, astronomical knowledge, and a common understanding of the cycles of life? Could these sites have been used as a way of connecting with distant communities, exchanging knowledge or ritual practices? And what role did the Dolmen de Soto play within this broader web of ancient traditions? Despite its significance, the Dolmen de Soto remains an enigma. While it is clear that the site was used for burial purposes, the exact rituals that took place here are lost to time. Archaeologists have uncovered few artifacts associated with the dolmen, making it difficult to piece together the daily lives of those who constructed it. The lack of material evidence raises an interesting question. Did the people who built the dolmen leave behind any clues to their beliefs, or were they so focused on the spiritual significance of the site that they deliberately left no trace of their earthly possessions? This lack of material evidence has led some to speculate about the spiritual nature of the dolmen. Could it have been a place where the dead were not only laid to rest, but also honored in a way that transcended simple burial? Could the dolmen have been a place of communion with the divine, where those who passed were believed to join the gods in the afterlife? The alignment with the solstice suggests that the builders had a deep understanding of the cosmos, but did they view the sun's return as a form of rebirth, a symbol of eternal life? Could this connection between death and the cosmos reflect an ancient understanding of the cycles of nature, where life, death, and rebirth were seen as interconnected parts of a larger divine plan? Some researchers have even proposed more speculative theories about the function of the dolmen. Could the site have been part of an early form of astronomical observatory, used by ancient peoples to track the movements of celestial bodies with an accuracy that we might not expect from cultures of this period? The precise alignment with the solstice hints at an advanced level of astronomical knowledge, and it raises the question of whether these early people were simply marking the passage of time, or if they were attempting to harness the power of the stars themselves. Was the dolmen a sacred site where the alignment of the heavens played a role in the rites of passage for the deceased, or did it serve as a cosmic marker for the living, guiding them in their connection with the divine? As we stand before the Dolmen de Soto today, it remains an enduring mystery, an ancient testament to a people whose beliefs, practices, and knowledge have long since faded into the past. The dolmen stands as a quiet reminder of the complex ways in which humanity has sought to understand the world and the cosmos, seeking meaning in the stars and in the earth beneath our feet. What secrets might still lie buried within the stones of the Dolmen de Soto? And what truths about the ancient world remain hidden in the silence of this magnificent and mysterious structure? Continuing our journey through ancient and enigmatic sites, we now turn to the mist-clad hills of Somerset, England, where the stony Littleton Long Barrow lies hidden beneath the quiet rural landscape. This megalithic tomb, over 5,000 years old, stands as a silent witness to the passage of time, its purpose and design still shrouded in mystery. Unlike many other burial sites, Stony Littleton's form is unlike any typical stone structure. As you approach the site, it's almost as though the earth itself has yielded up a relic, carefully crafted to blend with the natural world around it. The long barrow, which stretches over 30 meters in length, is not immediately noticeable. Nestled within the hills, the structure is a harmonious part of the environment, an enigmatic feature that has, for millennia, quietly commanded attention through its sheer presence. The burial chamber, composed of multiple large stones, is accessed via a narrow passageway, a feature that immediately hints at some kind of symbolic significance. This design, with its series of internal chambers, suggests not only a place of burial, but a space designed to accommodate complex rituals and spiritual practices. At first glance, it may seem simple, but the long barrow's construction reveals an extraordinary level of sophistication. The main passageway of the tomb opens into a chamber formed by carefully selected stones, each one placed with a precision that speaks to the builder's expertise in handling such monumental materials. The stones themselves are arranged in a way that creates a unique sense of space within the tomb. The design is not random, but deliberate. Each part of the structure seems carefully thought out, and many archaeologists believe it reflects the spiritual and cultural importance of the site. As we move deeper into the history of the stony Littleton Long Barrow, the question arises: what kind of rituals might have been performed here? Evidence suggests that this barrow was used for the burial of the dead, but its shape and orientation also suggest it may have been designed to mark important celestial events. The passageway, for example, is aligned with the sunrise on certain key dates, possibly signaling its use as a site for seasonal rituals. Could the people who built the barrow have been observing the cycles of the sun, the moon, and the stars? Were they aligning their sacred practices with the cosmos, using the tomb as a connection between the earthly and the divine? Interestingly, the tomb is believed to have been used over a long period, and many generations of people may have been buried here. Archaeological evidence suggests that the bones of multiple individuals were placed in the chambers, and some remains show signs of having been disturbed and moved. This raises another question. Was this barrow a site for multiple generations of people, or was it used in a cyclical manner, where the dead were interred and then later reburied, as part of a continual cycle of remembrance and ritual? The practice of moving and reburying bones is not unique to this site. Similar practices have been identified at other burial sites across ancient Britain, but the specific reasons behind them remain unknown. Were these practices meant to honor the ancestors, or were they part of a spiritual belief about the cycle of life and death? Despite the long history of research and study, many aspects of the stony Littleton Long Barrow remain unclear. The site was rediscovered in the 18th century, but it wasn't until the 19th century that serious excavation work began. During these excavations, archaeologists found a wealth of artifacts, including pottery, tools, and fragments of bone. Some of these objects were highly decorated, suggesting that the people who built the tomb had an aesthetic sense as well as a functional one. But among the remains, there were also signs of strange practices. Some bones were deliberately broken, and it is possible that ritualistic acts were involved in the burial process, acts that might have been meant to ensure the passage of the soul, or perhaps to appease the gods of the afterlife. Could this be an indication that the builders of the Stony Littleton Long Barrow saw death not as an end, but as a transition into another realm? Was the burial process just the beginning of a larger spiritual journey for the deceased, with the barrow itself serving as a kind of portal or sacred space for this journey? One of the more intriguing aspects of the Stony Littleton Long Barrow is the way it seems to connect to other megalithic sites across the British Isles. The precise alignment of the tomb, combined with its connection to celestial events, suggests that the builders of this site may have had a sophisticated understanding of astronomy. But could this knowledge have been shared with or passed down through other cultures in the region? The question of whether these ancient builders had a broader, shared cosmological knowledge is one that remains unresolved. There is evidence of widespread megalithic construction throughout the British Isles, with other long barrows, henges, and stone circles exhibiting similar features, such as alignments to solstices or lunar events. Was there a common belief system shared among these ancient peoples, one based on a deep reverence for the celestial forces that govern the natural world? Or was this a more localized practice, with each community developing its own understanding of the cosmos based on their environment and needs? Another curious feature of Stony Littleton Long Barrow is the apparent deliberate burial of certain objects with the dead. Pottery, stone tools, and even bone fragments have been uncovered in the chambers, all of which suggest that these items held special significance for the deceased. But what was their purpose? Were they offerings, meant to assist the dead in the afterlife, or were they symbols of the deceased's life and status? The inclusion of specific items with the dead is a common practice at burial sites across the ancient world, but what these items represent, and why they were chosen, remains one of the great mysteries of ancient burial rituals. Were these items meant to serve as tools or symbols in the next world, or were they part of a complex system of ancestor worship, where the dead were revered and remembered through the items they had used in life? Despite all the theories and speculation, the purpose of Stony Littleton Long Barrow is still not fully understood. The tomb, its alignment, the objects found within, and the seemingly deliberate disturbance of bones all point to a ritualistic site of significant importance, but the specific meaning remains elusive. Could the barrow have been an ancient center for spiritual worship, where the passage of time, the cycles of life and death, and the movement of the stars were all interwoven into the beliefs and practices of the people? Or could it have been something more, an enduring connection between the living and the dead, a place where people gathered not just to bury their dead, but to honor them, to communicate with them, and to ensure that their spirits would continue to guide the living? As we stand before the Stony Littleton Long Barrow, we are left with a profound sense of the unknown. This ancient tomb, with its timeless design and mysterious alignments, remains an enduring symbol of a culture whose understanding of death, ritual, and the cosmos we may never fully grasp. What other secrets does the Stony Littleton Long Barrow still hold? What stories are waiting to be uncovered, hidden beneath the soil and stone? As with so many ancient sites, the mystery remains unsolved, and we are left to ponder what truths may still lie buried, waiting for the right moment, or the right discovery, to bring them into the light. As we move further through the labyrinth of ancient mysteries, we now find ourselves in the remote hills of Algeria, where the Medracen tomb stands quietly, a silent monument to a civilization whose name and purpose have been mostly forgotten by history. Situated in the Aurus Mountains, this massive structure is an ancient burial site, one of the most impressive and enigmatic remnants of the Numidian civilization. Unlike many tombs of its era, the Medracen is not a simple mound of earth or stone, but a grand, carefully constructed monument, a burial mound encased in a circular stone structure that still stands proudly today. From a distance, the Medracen appears almost as a natural part of the landscape, a mound rising from the earth, surrounded by a ring of large, carefully placed stones. But upon closer inspection, the tomb reveals itself to be far more than a mere burial site. The stone construction is too intricate, too deliberate to be anything but the work of a sophisticated society. Its design is a fusion of architectural complexity and ancient ritual, indicating that the people who built it were deeply invested in the afterlife and the sanctity of the dead. The Medracen tomb is part of a larger necropolis that spans the hillsides, and it stands as a testament to the power and influence of the Numidians, a people whose kingdom flourished in North Africa during the first millennium BC. The tomb itself is monumental, with a diameter of over 30 meters, and it is believed to have been the burial place of a Numidian king. Though no one knows for certain who was laid to rest here, it is clear that the tomb was meant for someone of great importance, perhaps a ruler or a figure of divine status. The structure of the tomb is equally captivating. The outer ring of large stones encircles a central chamber that would have been the final resting place for the deceased, but it is the architectural style that raises eyebrows. The tomb's design features a combination of elements that are remarkably advanced for its time. The circular walls are composed of large, carefully hewn stones, and the interior contains several chambers, some of which appear to have been used for offerings or ceremonial purposes. The tomb's structure is unlike the typical burial mounds of other ancient civilizations, and this unique design has led to much speculation regarding its origins and function. What stands out most about the Medracen tomb is the fact that it defies the conventions of the era. While other tombs from the same period are built in simple, unadorned forms, the Medracen's design suggests an intimate connection to a much broader set of cultural practices, possibly even those influenced by neighboring Mediterranean and African traditions. But who exactly were the Numidians, and what can we infer about their beliefs and customs based on the structure of this tomb? The Numidians were a Berber-speaking people who inhabited the region long before the rise of the Roman Empire. They were known for their skilled horsemen and for their strategic alliances with various powers of the ancient world, including the Carthaginians and the Romans. As a result, their culture was likely a blend of indigenous traditions and influences from outside civilizations. This cultural fusion is reflected in the design of the Medracen tomb. The circular shape, for instance, has been compared to other ancient burial structures in the Mediterranean world, particularly those found in Egypt and the Levant. But why did the Numidians choose to adopt this architectural form? Was it simply a matter of cultural exchange, or did they have their own reasons for choosing such a distinctive design? Another curious feature of the Medracen tomb is its orientation. The tomb's entrance faces east, a direction that holds significance in many ancient cultures, often associated with the rising sun and the cycle of life and death. Could the tomb's alignment be a symbolic gesture, marking the transition from the mortal world to the afterlife? The symbolism of the East as a direction of renewal and rebirth is widespread, from the ancient Egyptians to the Greeks, and it seems possible that the Numidians, too, shared these beliefs. If the tomb was built to honor a king or a powerful figure, then the alignment could have been intended to ensure that the soul of the deceased would be guided toward the afterlife with the aid of the sun's light. But there is more to the Medracen tomb than just its physical design. The lack of inscriptions or detailed records has led to numerous theories about its purpose and meaning. Some archaeologists believe that the tomb may have served not only as a burial site, but also as a place of worship, a temple dedicated to the deceased ruler or god. The large size of the tomb and the complexity of its construction suggest that it was not merely a place for the dead, but also a center for the living to commune with the divine. But how could a structure so grand have been constructed with the limited technology available at the time? Could the people who built the Medracen tomb have had access to knowledge and methods that have since been lost to history? The lack of written records also raises intriguing questions about the spiritual and social structure of the Numidians. Without inscriptions to explain the significance of the tomb, much of its meaning remains open to interpretation. Was the tomb built as a sign of royal power, a way to mark the end of a reign and the beginning of a new era? Or was it constructed as part of a broader belief system in which the dead were honored and remembered through elaborate rituals and monuments? Could the tomb have been part of a larger religious or cosmological framework, one that tied together the dead, the living, and the divine in a continuous cycle of life and death? Some have even suggested that the Medracen tomb could have been part of a broader network of sacred sites, possibly connected to the ancient Berber religion, which revered the natural world and the ancestors. The alignment of the tomb with the sun and its size and complexity could indicate that it was not just a burial site, but a powerful symbol of spiritual and political authority. If the Numidians believed in the divine power of their rulers, then the tomb could have served as a way to ensure that the king's power continued to resonate after death, providing a spiritual anchor for the living and a way to maintain the sacred connection between ruler and people. Yet, despite all of the speculation, the true significance of the Medracen tomb remains elusive. The lack of direct evidence about the rituals and beliefs of the Numidians leaves us with more questions than answers. Why was this tomb built in such a grand style, and what did it signify to those who created it? What role did the Medracen tomb play in the social and religious life of the Numidian people, and how was it used in the centuries after it was constructed? Standing before the Medracen tomb today, it is impossible not to be struck by the mysteries that still surround it. The tomb's imposing presence, its intricate design, and its quiet location in the hills all contribute to its aura of enigma. It is a structure that speaks to a civilization that once held great power and influence in the ancient world, yet whose story remains largely untold. The Medracen tomb stands not only as a reminder of the Numidian people, but as a testament to the many layers of mystery that still lie hidden beneath the surface of history. What else remains to be discovered? What secrets might still be buried here, waiting to shed light on a past that continues to elude our understanding? As we continue our journey through the shadowed corridors of ancient history, we now turn our attention to one of the most remarkable and enigmatic structures on the Iberian Peninsula, the Menga Dolmen. Nestled in the Andalusian countryside of southern Spain, this prehistoric burial monument is part of a larger collection of megalithic tombs that have fascinated researchers and visitors for centuries. It stands as a powerful reminder of a time long past, its stones weathered by the passage of thousands of years, yet still speaking in hushed tones to those willing to listen. The Menga Dolmen is imposing. Its structure, though ancient, retains an awe-inspiring presence, with colossal stones arranged in a way that suggests both power and purpose. The dolmen consists of a long rectangular chamber formed by massive stone slabs, some weighing several tons, all of which are carefully arranged to create a structure that is as much an architectural feat as it is a tomb. The capstone, which sits atop the dolmen, is so large that it seems almost impossible that early humans could have moved it into place using the rudimentary tools available to them. Yet, the dolmen's sheer scale and sophistication make it clear that these builders were not only capable, but highly skilled in the art of stone construction. The dolmen is part of the Antequera Dolmen site, which includes other megalithic monuments like the Vieira Dolmen and the El Romeral Dolmen, forming an interconnected complex that reveals a profound understanding of the natural world and human existence. The Menga Dolmen, however, stands out due to its size and complexity. It is one of the largest dolmens in Europe, with its chamber measuring nearly 25 meters in length. Its design, while seemingly simple, incorporates a series of geometric alignments that have baffled archaeologists and researchers for years. The Menga Dolmen's alignment is particularly intriguing. The structure is oriented in a way that suggests a deep connection to celestial events, The entrance of the dolmen faces the rising sun during the solstices, a detail that has led some scholars to propose that the dolmen was not just a burial place, but a site of religious or astronomical significance. Was it designed to mark the changing of the seasons, with the rising sun serving as a guiding light to the afterlife? Or was the placement of the stones meant to align the deceased with cosmic forces, perhaps linking the tomb to the movements of the stars, sun, and moon? What is striking about the Menga Dolmen is not only the precision with which it was constructed, but also the underlying mystery surrounding its purpose. Archaeological evidence shows that the dolmen was used as a burial site, but the details of the rituals surrounding those interred here remain largely unknown. It is believed that the tomb was used during the late Neolithic and early Bronze Age, sometime around 3000 BC, and that it was a significant site for the community that constructed it. The careful arrangement of the stones, along with the size of the burial chamber, suggests that it was built for a person of great importance, perhaps a chieftain or a spiritual leader. But why such a monumental effort for a single individual? One of the most striking aspects of the Menga Dolmen is its passage. The dolmen has a long corridor leading into the central chamber, and it is within this passage that the most intriguing aspects of the monument begin to emerge. The passage is aligned precisely with the sun's rays during the solstices, hinting at a deeper connection to seasonal cycles and the cycles of life and death. Was the passageway meant to symbolize a journey, leading the soul of the deceased into the afterlife, guided by the light of the sun? The connection between the living and the deceased may have been symbolized by the alignment, marking a path between two worlds, the world of the living and the world of the dead. Some researchers suggest that the Menga Dolmen may have served as a place of ancestor worship, with the passageway symbolizing a connection to the spirits of the past. In many ancient cultures, ancestors were revered as powerful figures whose guidance could influence the lives of the living. Was the dolmen built to ensure that the deceased would be honored and remembered by future generations? Or was it a way of connecting the living with the divine, ensuring that the deceased would be properly guided into the afterlife by the gods themselves? While these questions remain unanswered, they provide a glimpse into the possible significance of the Menga Dolmen. As we peer into the depths of this ancient structure, the connections between the architecture, the celestial alignments, and the possible rituals conducted here begin to suggest that the tomb was not just a place for the dead, but a center for spiritual practice. But to what end? Perhaps one of the most curious elements of the Menga Dolmen lies in the materials used for its construction. The stones that form the dolmen's chamber are not local. They were transported from a quarry several kilometers away. How did the builders of the dolmen manage to move these massive stones, each weighing several tons? Some suggest that the stones were rolled or dragged across the landscape, while others propose that more sophisticated methods, possibly even unknown technologies, were employed. Was this just the work of a highly organized society with a deep understanding of engineering, or could there have been something more at play, perhaps knowledge that has been lost to time? In addition to the architectural questions, the actual burial practices within the Menga Dolmen remain a mystery. While the tomb appears to have been used for multiple burials over time, the evidence is sparse. Were these tombs the final resting place of an elite class, or was the dolmen built as a communal burial site? Some archaeologists speculate that the dolmen may have been used for the burial of family groups or entire communities, and that it functioned as both a tomb and a place of collective memory. Perhaps even more unsettling is the absence of human remains in the central chamber. While archaeologists have uncovered skeletal remains nearby, none have been found within the actual chamber of the dolmen itself. This absence raises questions about the true nature of the dolmen's purpose. Was it used for something other than burials, perhaps a ceremonial or symbolic role that went beyond simple interment? The lack of direct evidence complicates our understanding of the dolmen and its use, leaving us with only fragments of a larger mystery that remains unresolved. The Menga Dolmen, with its massive stones, celestial alignments, and cryptic passageway, presents a powerful symbol of a people whose beliefs, technologies, and rituals have been lost to history. Yet, despite all the excavation and study, the purpose of the dolmen remains elusive. Was it a tomb for a powerful leader, a symbol of cosmic beliefs, or a communal site for ancestor worship? The answers to these questions lie buried within the stones, waiting for the right discovery to bring them into the light. As we reflect on the Menga Dolmen, we are reminded of how much remains unknown about the distant past. Even as we uncover fragments of these ancient sites, the mysteries they hold continue to challenge our understanding of history. What other secrets might the Menga Dolmen still conceal? What knowledge, lost to time, might be waiting to be rediscovered beneath the weight of its stones? The answers, it seems, remain just beyond our reach, leaving us to wonder what mysteries might yet be revealed. As we shift from the sun-baked plains of Andalusia to the mist-covered hills of the Scottish Highlands, we find ourselves standing before one of the most intriguing and enigmatic structures of ancient Britain, Dun Carloway. Located on the Isle of Lewis in the Outer Hebrides, this Iron Age broch is a towering reminder of a time long past, its walls rising from the earth like a silent sentinel, guarding secrets that still elude modern understanding. The broch is an architectural marvel. Standing at nearly 10 meters tall, with walls constructed from massive stones that seem almost impossibly large and precisely arranged, it is a structure that commands attention. The name Dun Carloway itself carries the weight of history, with Dun meaning a hill fort or stronghold, suggesting that this was once a place of power and protection. The broch's outer walls are thick, built to withstand the harsh weather of the island and the pressures of time. Yet, the mystery of its purpose, its origins, and its construction continues to stir the imaginations of archaeologists, historians, and curious visitors alike. What makes Dun Carloway truly fascinating, however, is the enigmatic nature of brochs themselves. While we know that these structures were constructed around 2,000 years ago, sometime in the first millennium BC, their exact function remains unclear. Unlike typical hill forts, which were primarily used for defense or as living quarters for communities, brochs like Dun Carloway are unique in their complexity. With their thick stone walls and narrow stairways leading to upper chambers, these structures seem to have served a purpose beyond mere fortification. As we approach the broch, it's impossible not to be struck by its circular design. The stone walls curve inward, creating a tight, enclosed space. Inside, the walls rise to a height that would have offered an impressive view of the surrounding landscape, ideal for spotting any potential threats. Yet, the narrowness of the interior suggests that the broch was not a typical living space. It is thought that the upper levels of the broch were once used for storage, or possibly even for defensive purposes, while the ground floor was used for communal activities. Some theories even suggest that the broch may have served as a ceremonial or religious space, as the sheer effort and skill required to construct such a monument could indicate that it held a sacred or symbolic significance. But what exactly was the purpose of Dun Carloway? Some archaeologists argue that it was primarily a fort, designed to protect its inhabitants from invading forces. The isolated location of the broch, situated on a rocky outcrop overlooking the surrounding valley, would have provided a strategic advantage. With its steep cliffs and panoramic views, the site would have been difficult to attack, offering safety to its inhabitants. But was defense the only reason for its construction? The answer is not so simple. Other scholars propose that brochs like Dun Carloway were not just fortifications, but symbols of power and prestige. These massive stone structures may have been built by elite families or chieftains as a way of demonstrating their wealth, status, and control over the land. The broch's sheer size and the sophisticated engineering involved in its construction could indicate that it was a symbol of authority, perhaps intended to project power over both the land and the people who lived there. But was it merely a display of wealth? Or did the broch have a deeper, more symbolic meaning for its creators? The construction of the broch itself remains a subject of fascination. How did the ancient inhabitants of the Isle of Lewis manage to move and stack such enormous stones, some weighing several tons, without the advanced tools and technology we have today? Some researchers suggest that the stones were dragged into place using ropes, pulleys, and wooden scaffolding, while others speculate that they may have had access to a method of quarrying or transportation that has since been lost to history. What seems clear, however, is that the builders of Dun Carloway possessed a remarkable level of knowledge and skill in working with stone, knowledge that we have yet to fully understand. One of the most puzzling aspects of Dun Carloway is the lack of definitive evidence regarding the people who built it. The island of Lewis was inhabited by the Celts during the Iron Age, but little is known about the specific culture that constructed the broch. Was it built by a tribe or clan with its own unique customs and beliefs? Did the broch serve as a communal space, or was it a private stronghold for a wealthy or powerful family? While evidence of Iron Age settlement has been found nearby, the broch itself provides no definitive answers. Instead, it remains a tantalizing mystery, its origins obscured by the passage of time. Even the name Dun Carloway holds its own secrets. Dun is a Gaelic term that refers to a fort or stronghold, but the word Carloway is thought to be a much later addition. The name could have evolved from earlier terms, perhaps linked to ancient Celtic or pre-Celtic languages, further complicating our understanding of the broch's origins. Could the name of the broch offer a clue to its creators, or is it merely a later designation with no connection to the structure's original purpose? The surrounding landscape also adds to the mystery of Dun Carloway. The broch is located near several other ancient sites, including standing stones and burial mounds, suggesting that it may have been part of a larger ceremonial or cultural complex. Were the brochs built in alignment with other sacred sites, creating a network of monuments that held particular significance for the people of the time? Or was Dun Carloway simply a solitary structure, built for purely practical purposes, with no connection to the broader spiritual or cultural landscape? The absence of written records leaves us to speculate, but it's clear that the broch was part of something larger, a world that we can only glimpse through the faint traces it left behind. What remains especially enigmatic about Dun Carloway is the lack of any definitive evidence regarding the rituals or daily life of its inhabitants. Was the broch a site of ritualistic or religious significance, with the upper chambers serving as a place for ceremonial gatherings or offerings? The narrowness of the structure and its deliberate design could point to a ceremonial function, but the lack of archaeological findings complicates this theory. Were the people who lived in Dun Carloway part of a more complex religious system, one that left no written trace but whose echoes can still be felt in the design of the broch? As we stand before the towering walls of Dun Carloway, we are confronted with more questions than answers. The broch's isolation, its sheer size, and its precise construction all hint at a purpose beyond simple habitation. But whether it was a defensive stronghold, a symbol of power, or a place of ceremonial significance remains a mystery. The passage of time has erased many of the answers, leaving behind only a monument that continues to capture the imagination of all who visit. Perhaps the true mystery of Dun Carloway lies not in its physical form, but in the questions it raises about the people who built it. What drove them to construct such an imposing structure on this remote island? What did they hope to achieve with such a monumental effort? And, most intriguingly, what secrets might still be hidden within the walls of this ancient broch, waiting for a future generation to uncover? As we reflect on the mystery of Dun Carloway, we are reminded that some answers are still waiting to be discovered, answers that could change our understanding of the past forever. As we continue our journey into the unexplained, we now find ourselves in the heart of ancient Nubia, a land long overshadowed by the grand civilizations of Egypt, yet home to one of the most mysterious archaeological sites in the world, the Kerma Deffufa. Located in what is now Sudan, near the banks of the Nile, this imposing structure stands as a silent sentinel to a civilization that flourished in the 3rd millennium BC, leaving behind little more than the enigmatic remnants of its power and influence. The Deffufa at Kerma is a massive mud-brick platform, so large and imposing that it seems almost out of place in the landscape. Towering above the surrounding terrain, this ancient structure is thought to have been a religious or ceremonial center, though the exact purpose remains a subject of fierce debate among archaeologists and historians. At over 15 meters in height, the Deffufa dwarfs most other structures from the same period, indicating that it was no ordinary building. It is one of the largest mud-brick structures in the world, its size and form suggesting that it was of paramount importance to the people who built it. The Kerma site, with its vast mud-brick walls and massive temples, was the capital of the Kingdom of Kerma, a civilization that thrived in the region long before the rise of Egypt's new kingdom. The Kingdom of Kerma is believed to have flourished from around 2500 BC to 1500 BC, but little is known about the people who inhabited it. What we do know is that Kerma was an influential kingdom, dominating the Nile Valley for centuries and engaging in trade and conflict with Egypt. But what remains perplexing is the sudden disappearance of this civilization. By the time Egypt's new kingdom emerged, Kerma had seemingly vanished without a trace. The Kerma Deffufa is one of the key remnants of this mysterious kingdom, yet its purpose remains elusive. Scholars agree that the structure likely had a religious function, possibly serving as a temple or a sacred space for rituals. Some believe it was a site dedicated to a local deity, a place where kings and priests could communicate with the gods. Others suggest that the Deffufa could have been a royal palace, or perhaps a combination of both, a center of political and spiritual power. Its size, after all, suggests a role far greater than that of a simple temple. Was it a monument to the gods, or a symbol of the kingdom's earthly power? What sets the Kerma Deffufa apart from other ancient structures is its distinctive design. Unlike the step pyramids of Egypt or the ziggurats of Mesopotamia, the Deffufa is a massive platform made of mud brick. Its construction, while impressive, is far more rudimentary than the grand stone monuments of neighboring civilizations. Yet, the scale and complexity of the Deffufa suggest a high level of architectural skill, one that could rival the great structures of ancient Egypt. But how did the people of Kerma, without the use of advanced tools or stone, manage to create such a monumental structure? Could there have been knowledge passed down from even older civilizations, lost to time but preserved in the legacy of the Deffufa? The alignment of the Deffufa is equally intriguing. Many ancient structures were deliberately aligned with celestial bodies, marking important solar and lunar events, but the alignment of the Kerma Deffufa remains a subject of uncertainty. Some researchers believe that it was designed to align with the sun, much like the temples and pyramids of Egypt. Others suggest that the structure may have had an astronomical purpose, possibly serving as an observatory or a tool for tracking the stars and planets. Could it have been built as a way to synchronize the lives of the people with the celestial rhythms of the heavens, as so many other ancient civilizations attempted? Or was it purely a symbol of power, meant to assert the dominance of the kingdom of Kerma over its neighbors? As we delve deeper into the history of the Kerma Deffufa, we are confronted with an even greater mystery: the lack of any substantial written records from the kingdom of Kerma. Unlike the Egyptians, who left behind vast quantities of inscriptions, hieroglyphs, and monuments, the people of Kerma left no written language or detailed records of their civilization. The absence of these records has left a huge gap in our understanding of the Kerma kingdom. What did the people of Kerma believe? What were their political systems, their social structures, and their religious practices? Without written records, much of their history remains speculative. One of the most puzzling aspects of the Kerma site is the sudden and unexplained collapse of the kingdom. By around 1500 BC, the kingdom of Kerma had disappeared, its cities abandoned, and its culture seemingly wiped from the map. What caused the downfall of such a powerful kingdom? Was it invasion, environmental changes, internal strife, or something else entirely? The decline of Kerma has sparked numerous theories, but no one explanation has proven to be definitive. Some believe that the kingdom was conquered by the rising power of Egypt, whose new kingdom would eventually dominate the region. Others speculate that changes in the climate, such as droughts or floods, may have played a role in the kingdom's collapse. The lack of direct evidence makes it impossible to know for sure. Yet, despite the mysteries surrounding its collapse, the Kerma Deffufa remains a testament to the power and ingenuity of the people who built it. The Deffufa's sheer scale and its unique construction make it a monument unlike any other. It stands as a symbol of a civilization whose legacy is still shrouded in mystery, with only the remnants of its monumental structures left behind to tell its story. As we stand before the Deffufa today, it's impossible not to feel a sense of awe at the sheer scale of the construction and a deep curiosity about the people who created it. The unanswered questions surrounding the Kerma Deffufa leave us to wonder. What truths lie buried beneath the sands of time? What knowledge, lost to history, might still be hidden within the remains of this ancient structure? Were the people of Kerma truly just a precursor to Egyptian dominance, or was there something more to their civilization, something we have yet to uncover? The Kerma Deffufa is not just an archaeological site. It is a doorway into a past that remains stubbornly out of reach. And as we continue to explore the ancient world, we are reminded that some mysteries, no matter how much we uncover, may never be fully understood. What lies hidden beneath the earth, waiting for discovery, is a question that may never be answered. But for now, the Deffufa stands, a silent sentinel to a forgotten kingdom, inviting us to look deeper, question more, and wonder what truths might still be buried within its ancient walls. Nestled quietly in the rolling hills of County Carlow, Ireland, the Brownshill Dolmen stands as a monument to an ancient past, its massive stone slab towering over the landscape, a silent witness to the centuries that have passed since it was first erected. This Neolithic structure, often referred to as a portal tomb, is one of the most awe-inspiring megalithic sites in all of Europe. Yet, despite its grandeur, it is surrounded by mystery, with questions about its purpose, construction, and significance remaining largely unanswered. The Brownshill Dolmen consists of 3 large standing stones, one of which supports an immense capstone weighing an estimated 100 tons. This single slab, which rests precariously atop the 3 upright stones, is one of the largest megalithic capstones ever discovered. The sheer size and weight of the capstone alone is enough to leave anyone who stands before it in awe. How, with the tools available to them, did the builders of this dolmen manage to lift such a massive stone into place? At first glance, the Brownshill Dolmen appears as though it is a tomb, an ancient burial site, which is a common assumption for many megalithic structures of this type. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence suggesting that the dolmen was used for burial purposes during the late Neolithic and early Bronze Age. However, much of the specific information surrounding the burials at Brownshill remains unclear. There are no detailed records of the individuals who were interred there, and the site itself has been excavated only in a limited capacity. What we do know is that the dolmen was likely used as a communal burial site, perhaps for the elite members of an ancient society. But beyond the burial theory, Brownshill Dolmen presents even more unanswered questions. Why such an enormous capstone? What purpose did it serve, and how was it transported? The builders of the dolmen did not have access to cranes, wheels, or sophisticated lifting equipment. Some researchers believe that the stone was transported from a quarry several miles away, perhaps rolled on logs or dragged through the landscape. But the logistics of moving such a massive stone remain a mystery, especially considering the size of the stones used for the dolmen's construction. How could a Neolithic society with limited technology have managed such a feat? Even more perplexing is the question of the dolmen's orientation. As with many other ancient megalithic sites, Brownshill Dolmen is aligned with certain celestial events, suggesting that it may have served a symbolic as well as a practical purpose. Was it designed to align with the solstices, marking the changing of the seasons? Could it have been a place of ritualistic significance, where ancient peoples performed ceremonies to honor their gods or their ancestors? The exact alignment of the dolmen with the sky remains speculative, but there is evidence to suggest that it may have been a focal point for the celestial and seasonal cycles that were so important to ancient societies. Yet, perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the Brownshill Dolmen is the possibility that it was part of a much larger megalithic complex. Many dolmens in Ireland and throughout Europe are found in clusters, often accompanied by stone circles, barrows, and other megalithic structures. Was Brownshill Dolmen once part of a much larger ceremonial or burial landscape, its solitary presence today the result of erosion, neglect, or the ravages of time? Some researchers suggest that the area surrounding the dolmen may have once been a sacred site, visited by ancient peoples who believed in the power of the stones. Over the centuries, however, the landscape may have changed, leaving only the dolmen to stand as a solitary relic of a long-lost culture. In addition to the questions surrounding its construction and alignment, the dolmen's purpose is also a source of much speculation. While many archaeologists agree that it was a burial site, there are those who argue that it may have had a more complex role. Some theorists believe that the Brownshill Dolmen could have served as a ritual space for ancient ceremonies, perhaps marking a place where the living and the dead intersected. The dolmen's massive capstone could have served as a metaphorical threshold, representing the boundary between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. Was it a portal through which the souls of the departed could pass? Or was it a place where the living could commune with the gods, seeking favor or guidance? The absence of clear answers invites further speculation. Could the Brownshill Dolmen have had a connection to the celestial or astrological events that guided the lives of ancient peoples? The alignment of the structure with certain points on the horizon may suggest that it had a ritualistic function tied to the cycles of the moon or sun. If this is the case, then the builders of the dolmen may have been more advanced in their understanding of the heavens than we give them credit for, using the stones as a way to mark time and navigate the natural world. Were they astronomers of sorts, attuned to the rhythms of the cosmos, using the dolmen as a way to communicate with the stars? Despite centuries of study, the Brownshill Dolmen has revealed little about the people who built it. Unlike other ancient sites, which were often surrounded by written records or detailed accounts of their purpose, the builders of the dolmen left no such clues. As a result, the mystery surrounding the dolmen remains deeply enigmatic. What was the culture that built it, and what beliefs drove them to construct such a monumental structure? Was the dolmen a symbol of death, of life, or of something else entirely? Perhaps in the end, the mystery of the Brownshill Dolmen is not so much about finding definitive answers, but about embracing the unknown. The dolmen stands as a testament to the ingenuity of ancient peoples, to their ability to shape the land around them, and to their understanding of the natural world. The unanswered questions only add to the allure of the site, drawing us into a world long forgotten, yet somehow still very much alive in the stones and the stories they tell. As we reflect on the Brownshill Dolmen, we are reminded that some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved, that the answers may forever be just out of reach. What we do know is that the dolmen remains a powerful symbol of the ancient past, a link to a world that once existed but has since faded from memory. And as we continue to explore these ancient wonders, we are left to wonder, what other secrets does the Brownshill Dolmen still hold, waiting to be uncovered by those willing to look beyond the surface? What more might we learn, not just about the structure itself, but about the people who created it and the world they inhabited? The island of Minorca, located in the Mediterranean Sea, has long been a place of mystery. Its rugged coastline, sweeping landscapes, and ancient monuments speak of civilizations long lost to time. One such site, Talatí de Dalt, stands quietly amidst the island's rich history, yet it is a place that continues to confound archaeologists and historians alike. Here, in the heart of Minorca, a strange and enigmatic archaeological complex waits patiently to be fully understood. Talatí de Dalt is a Talaiotic site, dating back to the Iron Age, around 1000 BC. The Talaiotic people, known for their distinctive stone towers and complex settlements, left behind a legacy that still baffles researchers today. The site at Talatí de Dalt is an expansive archaeological area, characterized by its unique combination of structures: circular stone towers, rectangular dwellings, and sacred enclosures. These buildings are constructed from massive limestone blocks, stacked with remarkable precision, yet without mortar. The Talaiotic people were able to shape and arrange these stones with such accuracy that it appears almost as though the stones were placed by a more advanced civilization, one with knowledge that, even today, we cannot fully comprehend. As you approach Talatí de Dalt, the first thing you notice is the towering stone walls, rising from the earth like sentinels of the past. The site is divided into several distinct areas, each with its own unique features, suggesting that it may have served multiple purposes over its long history. In the center stands a remarkable tala, a large T-shaped stone structure believed to have had a religious or ceremonial function. The purpose of the tala is still debated among scholars. Was it a place of worship, a marker of territorial significance, or something else entirely? The sheer scale of the structures at Talatí de Dalt raises more questions than it answers. The talas and the stone towers, some of which are as tall as 5 meters, seem to reflect an advanced understanding of engineering and construction. Yet, these were people who lacked metal tools, who relied on rudimentary techniques to carve and transport heavy stones. How did the Talaiotic people build such massive structures with only stone tools and rudimentary machinery? Were they relying on techniques that have been lost to time, or did they possess knowledge that was far beyond their apparent technological capabilities? Some researchers propose that the Talatí de Dalt site may have been a kind of ritual center, serving not just as a settlement, but as a hub of religious and spiritual activity. The placement of the structures suggests an intentional design, with certain stones aligned with the movement of the sun and the stars. Could the site have been constructed to mark the changing of the seasons, the solstices, or the lunar cycles? Was the purpose of Talatí de Dalt connected to the ancient belief that the forces of nature held spiritual significance? The alignment of these stones, so carefully arranged, might suggest that the Talaiotic people had a deep understanding of astronomy, much like other ancient civilizations that built megalithic structures to track celestial events. Interestingly, there is a significant absence of written records from this period, leaving us with little more than the silent stones of Talatí de Dalt to interpret. The Talaiotic people did not leave behind inscriptions or hieroglyphs, and most of what we know about them comes from the structures they built and the objects they left behind. As a result, much of the site's purpose is shrouded in mystery. Were these stone structures purely practical, or were they symbols of a lost belief system? Could they have been places of power, used to commune with the gods or to mark important celestial events? It's a tantalizing possibility, yet the absence of written evidence makes it difficult to arrive at any firm conclusions. Another aspect of Talatí de Dalt that continues to intrigue archaeologists is its relationship to other sites on the island. Minorca is dotted with megalithic structures, many of which are similar in design to Talatí de Dalt, including the famous taulas and navetas, burial structures with distinct boat-like shapes. The Talaiotic people seem to have built entire landscapes of stone, creating a physical connection between their spiritual beliefs and the natural world around them. But what was the connection between these sites? Were they part of a larger cultural or political network, or did they represent independent, localized practices? Did the people of Talatí de Dalt interact with other civilizations of the Mediterranean, such as the Phoenicians or the Carthaginians? Or were they isolated, developing their own unique way of life in relative seclusion? The mystery of Talatí de Dalt is further compounded by the absence of evidence regarding the decline of the Talaiotic civilization. While we know that the Talaiotic culture flourished for several centuries, its eventual decline remains a mystery. Some archaeologists suggest that the rise of other Mediterranean powers, such as the Phoenicians, may have led to the collapse of the Talaiotic society. Others propose that environmental changes, such as droughts or earthquakes, may have contributed to the site's abandonment. Yet, no definitive explanation has emerged. What caused the people who built such impressive structures to leave Talatí de Dalt behind? In addition to the questions surrounding the site's purpose and decline, there are also the questions of who the Talaiotic people were. Little is known about their origins. Did they migrate from elsewhere in the Mediterranean? Were they a local development of earlier cultures on the island? And how did they come to possess the knowledge and skill to create the megalithic structures we see today? There is some evidence to suggest that the Talaiotic culture was influenced by other Mediterranean societies, but to what extent? The lack of written language only deepens the mystery surrounding their true identity. As with many ancient sites, Talatí de Dalt leaves us with more questions than answers. The towering stone structures seem to echo through time, their purpose unclear, their builders long since gone. Yet the site remains an enduring testament to the creativity, skill, and spirituality of a civilization that once thrived on this island. The mystery of Talatí de Dalt, its origins, its purpose, and its eventual decline, lingers in the air like an unspoken secret, waiting for someone to uncover it. As we stand before the stones of Talatí de Dalt, it is impossible not to feel a sense of wonder. These ancient structures, so meticulously constructed and so full of unanswered questions, seem to hold a deeper meaning, one that has eluded us for centuries. What knowledge, what wisdom, might the Talaiotic people have held? And why did they leave behind such an elaborate yet enigmatic record of their existence? These questions continue to resonate, and as we delve deeper into the mystery of Talatí de Dalt, we are reminded that the past is never fully revealed. There are always new secrets, new puzzles to be solved, if only we are willing to look deeper into the stones and the silence they hold. Nestled in the verdant lowlands of Veracruz, Mexico, an ancient and mysterious site quietly awaits its place in history. Cempoala, the archaeological site that once thrived as an important center of the ancient Totonac culture, is home to a collection of stone circles that have long baffled researchers. These Cempoala stone circles, as they are now called, remain a testament to the ingenuity and spiritual depth of a civilization that left no written records, but whose monumental structures continue to provoke questions centuries later. The stone circles, which were uncovered by archaeologists in the 1950s, sit quietly in a field surrounded by lush vegetation, a striking contrast to their rugged, imposing presence. Constructed from large, weathered stones, many of them weighing several tons, the circles form an intricate geometric arrangement. At first glance, they might appear to be just another set of ceremonial platforms. Yet a deeper look into their design and purpose suggests that these formations hold secrets far beyond what conventional archaeology has yet uncovered. The most striking aspect of these circles is their apparent alignment with celestial events. Much like other ancient megalithic structures around the world, such as Stonehenge or the Maya observatories, the Cempoala stone circles seem to serve as markers for astronomical occurrences. Scholars have noted that the circles align with the solstices and equinoxes, indicating that the Totonac people may have used these structures to track the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. Could this have been a sophisticated astronomical observatory, a center for ritualistic practices tied to the seasons, or something else entirely? The precision with which these stones were arranged raises more questions than answers. How did the Totonac people, who did not have advanced tools or knowledge of metallurgy, manage to move and place such massive stones with such precision? While the Totonac were known to be skilled craftsmen and builders, many of their constructions, such as temples and plazas, relied on more easily manageable materials like wood and mud brick. The stone circles, however, were clearly a different undertaking, one that required both advanced engineering and a deep understanding of the natural world. There is also the question of their purpose. The Totonac were a society rich in cultural and religious beliefs, and the Cempoala stone circles may have served a spiritual function in addition to their astronomical significance. Some researchers speculate that the circles were part of a larger ceremonial complex where ritualistic events were held to honor the gods and ensure the proper alignment of the forces of nature. The presence of ritual offerings and burial sites nearby seems to support this theory. However, what remains unclear is whether these structures were part of a larger network of stone circles, or if they were isolated in purpose and significance. The idea of a connection between the Cempoala stone circles and other ancient sites of the Americas is a tantalizing one. Some researchers suggest that there may have been cultural exchange between the Totonac people and other ancient civilizations, such as the Olmec or the Maya, whose astronomical knowledge and megalithic architecture are well documented. Could the Totonac have learned the principles of astronomical alignment from these other cultures? Or did they independently develop their own understanding of the stars and their importance to daily life? As with many ancient archaeological sites, the true purpose of the Cempoala stone circles remains elusive. The lack of written records from the Totonac people leaves only physical structures and fragmentary evidence to guide modern researchers. However, the unique nature of the site suggests that it may have played a key role in the religious and social life of the Totonac, perhaps even serving as a meeting point for different communities to come together in ceremonial observances. In the absence of written records, the interpretations of the Cempoala stone circles remain speculative, and several theories have emerged over the years. Some archaeologists believe that the site may have been a kind of temple complex, where the cycles of nature were observed and revered. The Totonac were known for their advanced agricultural practices, and it is possible that the stone circles were used as a way to mark the planting and harvesting seasons. Their reliance on natural forces, such as rainfall and sunlight, would have made such an observatory vital for the survival of the community. Other scholars suggest that the Cempoala stone circles may have had a more esoteric purpose, one tied to the spiritual beliefs of the Totonac people. In many ancient cultures, the circle was seen as a symbol of eternity, the cyclical nature of life and death, and the unity of all things. Perhaps the stone circles were designed to represent this idea, a physical manifestation of the divine order of the universe. Were they created to serve as a focal point for rituals aimed at connecting with the spiritual realm, or were they used for divination, to predict future events or communicate with the gods? Then there is the theory that the Cempoala stone circles may have been used for more mundane but still significant social functions. Could they have served as gathering places, where important decisions were made, or where the community came together to celebrate shared values? The Totonac were known to live in complex, hierarchical societies, and it is possible that the circles were a meeting point for elites and leaders, or perhaps a space where trade and alliances were negotiated. This idea would explain the deliberate nature of the stone arrangements, which seem too intricate to be merely functional. As compelling as these ideas are, the lack of conclusive evidence leaves much room for speculation. In truth, much of the purpose behind the Cempoala stone circles may remain an enigma for the foreseeable future. But that, perhaps, is part of their appeal. The beauty of the site lies not in the answers it provides, but in the questions it raises. Even today, the Cempoala stone circles stand as silent witnesses to a lost world, one that was deeply connected to the heavens and the cycles of the earth. The Totonac people, with their advanced understanding of the natural world, have left behind a legacy that is still being uncovered. Whether these stone circles were astronomical observatories, ritual spaces, or something else entirely, their significance is undeniable. What remains unanswered is whether the true purpose of the Cempoala stone circles will ever be fully revealed. Will we ever fully understand the complexity of the Totonac worldview? Or will this site, like so many others, remain shrouded in mystery, its secrets hidden beneath the earth and the stones? Perhaps the most intriguing question is this: what might we have overlooked in our attempts to decipher the past? Could the answer to the mystery of the Cempoala stone circles be something far beyond our current understanding, waiting to be discovered in a future yet to come? As we reflect on this ancient site, one thing remains clear. The Cempoala stone circles are more than just rocks and earth. They are a bridge to the past, a silent yet profound connection to a people who once gazed at the stars, sought to understand the natural world, and left behind a legacy that continues to captivate us. The mystery of their purpose remains unsolved, but the journey to uncover it is as compelling as the discovery itself. The stones whisper their secrets, waiting for the right moment to reveal them. Until then, we are left to ponder their true meaning, wondering what might still be hidden in the shadows of the ancient world. The sprawling hills of West Java, Indonesia, conceal a monumental mystery, one that has quietly evaded definitive understanding for over a century. Gunung Padang, an ancient megalithic site, stands as one of the most enigmatic and controversial archaeological discoveries of our time. Located just outside the bustling city of Cianjur, the site consists of a vast arrangement of stone terraces, pyramidal structures, and other megalithic constructions, which have intrigued and perplexed archaeologists, geologists, and historians since their discovery. At first glance, the site may appear to be little more than a set of weathered stones strewn across the slopes of a hill. But as researchers have uncovered more about Gunung Padang, the true extent of its mystery has come to light. Rising more than 100 meters above the surrounding landscape, the stone complex stretches across a vast area, larger than many ancient sites known in other parts of the world. The terraces, composed of massive, carefully cut stones, form a series of stepped platforms, almost like an ancient pyramid that has weathered thousands of years of erosion. But what truly sets Gunung Padang apart is its subterranean mystery. Beneath the visible layers of stone, geological surveys and recent excavations have revealed signs of deeper structures that suggest this site could be far older than initially believed. Mainstream theories suggest that Gunung Padang may have been built around 2,500 to 3,000 years ago, aligning it with other megalithic sites across Southeast Asia. However, a growing body of research is challenging that timeline, hinting at the possibility that Gunung Padang could be far older, perhaps even dating back to 20,000 BC or earlier. This revelation has led to an ongoing debate. Could Gunung Padang be one of the remnants of a long-lost civilization that predates even the rise of Mesopotamia, Egypt, or the Indus Valley? The earliest formal study of Gunung Padang was carried out in the 19th century, but it wasn't until the 1970s that more serious excavations began. It was then that scientists first began to realize the complexity of the site. What appeared to be a series of terraces and platforms was, in fact, a highly organized and intentional construction, a purpose-built monument rather than a natural rock formation. The stonework seemed deliberate, and as researchers dug deeper, they discovered evidence of human activity that pointed to advanced knowledge of engineering and geometry. Over the years, the site has been thoroughly studied by archaeologists, geologists, and even modern-day researchers with advanced technologies like ground-penetrating radar. These surveys have uncovered layers upon layers of stone, soil, and even artifacts buried beneath the surface, suggesting that the site's true history is far more complicated than initially believed. Some geologists argue that Gunung Padang is not just a megalithic site, but a sophisticated, multi-tiered structure that could have been intentionally buried over millennia. One of the most striking pieces of evidence that has emerged from these investigations is the discovery of a series of chambers and voids beneath the terraces, which some have speculated could have been used for ritualistic or ceremonial purposes. But what truly sets Gunung Padang apart from other megalithic sites is its potential age. In 2011, a team of Indonesian researchers led by Dr. Ali Akbar, in collaboration with geologists from the University of Indonesia, conducted a series of studies using carbon dating methods on the site's deepest layers. The results were nothing short of astonishing. The core of Gunung Padang, the heart of the structure, appeared to date back to at least 20,000 BC, if not earlier. This revelation suggested that the site could predate any known civilizations in the region by thousands of years. This shocking finding has raised even more questions. If Gunung Padang is indeed that old, who built it? What knowledge did they possess? And why did they construct such a monumental structure in the remote hills of Java? The idea that a sophisticated civilization existed thousands of years before the rise of recorded history challenges our understanding of human development. Could this be evidence of a forgotten civilization, one that left behind only traces of its existence, hidden beneath the earth and stone? Or perhaps, some suggest, it was constructed by a culture that possessed advanced knowledge of mathematics, engineering, and astronomy, long before the development of these skills in other parts of the world. In addition to the more speculative theories, there is a growing body of evidence suggesting that Gunung Padang was not just a single isolated structure, but part of a larger complex of sites scattered across the region. Some archaeologists believe that the site may have been connected to other megalithic monuments in Southeast Asia, including those found in the nearby islands of Sumatra and Borneo. These connections, if proven, would suggest that ancient civilizations in this part of the world were not isolated, but rather part of a wider network of cultures with shared knowledge and technological prowess. Despite the mounting evidence and the growing interest in Gunung Padang, the site remains largely shrouded in mystery. The lack of definitive answers and the uncertainty surrounding its purpose and origin have left many questions unanswered. Some scholars believe that further excavation will eventually reveal the true nature of the site, while others caution that the complexities of Gunung Padang may be beyond our current understanding. Could this be the remnants of an ancient civilization that thrived long before recorded history, only to vanish without a trace? Or is it a testament to the ingenuity of a people who, long ago, sought to leave their mark on the world in ways we are only beginning to comprehend? The mysteries of Gunung Padang are far from resolved, and the questions it raises continue to captivate the imaginations of researchers, archaeologists, and enthusiasts alike. What was its purpose? Who built it? How was it constructed with such precision? And perhaps most intriguingly, why was it buried over time, intentionally or through natural processes? As we continue to explore the depths of Gunung Padang and its secrets, one thing becomes clear. The more we uncover, the more elusive the truth seems to become. What hidden knowledge lies beneath the layers of stone and earth? Only time and further exploration will tell, but one thing is certain: The mystery of Gunung Padang is far from over, and until its full story is revealed, we can only continue to wonder at the possibilities and ask ourselves, could there be more ancient civilizations waiting to be uncovered, their legacies buried beneath the sands of time? As the sun casts long shadows over the rugged landscape of the Mzora Plateau in Morocco's Rif Mountains, an ancient mystery quietly persists. The Mzora Stone Circle, a megalithic site, is a place that draws both awe and intrigue, a location where the natural world and human ingenuity converge in ways that defy simple explanation. The site, often overshadowed by more famous stone circles like Stonehenge, offers its own enigmatic history, one that seems to have been lost to time. Yet, as much as scholars have studied it, the Mzora Stone Circle remains a puzzle, its true purpose still shrouded in uncertainty. The Mzora Stone Circle is a massive arrangement of stones, situated in a serene yet remote part of the Rif Mountains in northern Morocco. At first glance, the circle of stones, some upright, others fallen or partially buried, appears to be a simple, albeit impressive, megalithic structure. The circle itself is roughly 40 meters in diameter, with stone slabs that range in size from smaller, almost unremarkable stones to massive megaliths, some of which weigh several tons. Their size and weight immediately suggest a level of organization and effort that seems difficult to reconcile with the societies of the time. The stones themselves are of a kind of sandstone typical to the region, and they have weathered the centuries well, maintaining a certain degree of mystery as to their origins and purpose. The stone circle is a testament to the impressive skill of its builders, whoever they were, but also a reminder of the limitations of modern understanding when faced with ancient sites like this one. When it was first discovered by scholars in the 19th century, the Mzora Stone Circle was assumed to be just one of many similar megalithic structures scattered across the region. But as research continued, it became clear that this particular site was different, not just in its scale, but in the complexity of its design and its alignment with celestial events. Some of the stones show signs of precise cutting, while others are roughly hewn. The contrast between these stones suggests that the circle may have undergone multiple phases of construction and possibly modifications over time. But what was its purpose? Modern archaeology tends to place megalithic structures like the Mzora Stone Circle within the context of ritualistic or religious practices. Stone circles, dolmens, and other megalithic monuments have often been interpreted as places of worship, astrological observatories, or burial sites. In the case of Mzora, however, these explanations fall short of fully accounting for the site's peculiarities. The positioning of the stones does seem to correlate with key astronomical events, such as solstices and equinoxes, suggesting that the builders may have been deeply invested in celestial observation. Could this site have served as a kind of ancient observatory? Was it a place to track the movements of the sun and stars, perhaps for agricultural purposes or religious rituals? One of the most intriguing aspects of the Mzora Stone Circle is its apparent alignment with other similar sites in Morocco, some of which are located hundreds of kilometers away. Some researchers have even speculated that these sites might have been part of a larger network, created by an advanced society that spanned much of North Africa. But who were these people? And what motivated them to construct such monumental structures? Theories abound, but no definitive answers have been found. Some experts argue that the Mzora Stone Circle could have been constructed by the ancient Berber people, who were known for their advanced knowledge of agriculture, astronomy, and architecture. Others point to influences from Phoenician or Carthaginian cultures, which were active in the region during the first millennium BC. It is also possible, as some fringe theorists suggest, that the builders of Mzora could have been part of an even older, more mysterious civilization, one that predates even the known ancient cultures of the Mediterranean. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Mzora site is the discovery of carvings and markings on some of the stones. While many of these markings are weathered and difficult to interpret, some appear to depict abstract symbols or figures that might have had religious or spiritual significance. Could these markings represent a lost language, a forgotten system of writing that once conveyed knowledge now lost to history? Or might they serve as a form of astronomical notation, indicating the movements of celestial bodies across the night sky? Even more perplexing is the recent discovery of hidden chambers and tunnels beneath the stone circle. During more recent excavations, archaeologists using ground-penetrating radar and other scanning technologies have detected voids and underground cavities beneath the stone circle. These subterranean features suggest that the Mzora stone circle may have been more than just a surface-level structure. Could the site have had a deeper, hidden purpose? Perhaps a burial site, or a place for initiatory rituals, as some have suggested? Or could these chambers be evidence of an even older layer of construction, perhaps from a time when the site was first used by a different culture? As with many ancient megalithic sites, there is an undeniable air of mystery surrounding the Mzora stone circle. Its age is another topic of speculation. Traditional archaeological studies have dated the site to around 2,500 to 3,000 years ago, which would place its construction during the late Bronze Age or early Iron Age. Yet, as with other ancient structures, some have proposed that Mzora might be far older than this, potentially predating even the early Berber settlements by several millennia. Could the stone circle have been built by a civilization lost to history, its knowledge preserved only in the stones that remain? Another possibility that has captured the imagination of those drawn to the site is the idea that the Mzora stone circle was part of a broader network of megalithic sites scattered across North Africa. Some researchers have suggested that these stone circles, along with other ancient monuments in the region, may have been connected in a kind of spiritual or astronomical grid, forming a vast web of knowledge that stretched across the ancient world. Could these sites have been connected in ways we are only now beginning to understand? The idea of a vast, ancient civilization with advanced knowledge of astronomy and architecture has intrigued theorists for years. But the question remains, if such a civilization existed, why did it leave behind only fragments, stones, carvings, and other remnants of its once great legacy? Why did it disappear, and what happened to the knowledge it once held? While many of these questions remain unanswered, the Mzora stone circle continues to offer glimpses into a past that is both rich and elusive. What we know for sure is that it is a site of profound significance, whether for its astronomical alignments, its ceremonial purpose, or its role in the spiritual lives of those who built it. But as with so many other ancient sites, the true meaning of the Mzora stone circle is still hidden beneath the stones, waiting for the day when its secrets will be revealed. As researchers continue to study the Mzora stone circle, one thing is certain: this site, like so many others, is far from fully understood. Theories may come and go, but the mystery persists. The Mzora stone circle is not just a relic of the past. It is a reminder of the depth of human history and the vastness of the knowledge that remains just out of reach. What other secrets might lie beneath the surface waiting to be uncovered? Only time and further exploration will tell. Nestled in the rolling hills of Sardinia, Italy, stands a structure that has long baffled archaeologists, historians, and curious minds alike: the Monte de Caudy stepped structure. At first glance, it might appear as just another ancient ruin, a large, tiered platform rising from the earth. But its sheer complexity, scale, and unknown purpose elevate it beyond the ordinary. It's a place that seems to defy conventional explanations, making one wonder, who built it and why? The Monte de Caudy stepped structure, sometimes referred to as the Sardinian ziggurat, is located in the region of Anglona in the north of the island. This ancient monument rises in a series of 5 distinct levels, creating a stepped pyramid-like structure that is unlike anything else in the Mediterranean. Its highest point towers about 9 meters above the surrounding landscape, offering sweeping views of the countryside below. but the most striking feature of the monument is its strange and enigmatic shape. Unlike typical pyramid structures, which are often associated with religious or funerary purposes, Monte de Caudi's unique form raises more questions than answers. The structure itself is made up of large blocks of limestone, roughly hewn, and constructed with the unmistakable craftsmanship of prehistoric builders. Its surface is dotted with shallow depressions and engravings, features that suggest the structure may have had some kind of ritualistic or ceremonial significance. This connection to ritual is not surprising, given that the site appears to have been an active location for millennia, with evidence suggesting it was used for both religious and social purposes. What sets Monte de Caudi apart from other megalithic sites is its unusual design and construction, which bears similarities to ziggurats, massive stepped structures built in ancient Mesopotamia. The comparison between the two structures is striking. Both were built in tiered levels, with large platforms or altars at the top. But there's a major difference. Ziggurats were typically dedicated to the gods, their towering forms symbolizing the connection between heaven and earth. Yet Monte de Caudi is far removed from the influences of ancient Mesopotamia, both geographically and culturally. So, what does this similarity mean? Is it possible that ancient builders, separated by vast distances, independently developed similar architectural styles to serve similar functions? The construction of Monte de Caudi is thought to date back to around 3000 BC, placing it in the Neolithic era, though some evidence points to it being older, perhaps closer to 4000 BC. This places it in the same time frame as some of the earliest monumental structures in human history, such as those at Göbekli Tepe in modern-day Turkey. This tantalizing possibility leads to an unsettling question. Was Monte de Caudi built by a group of people with knowledge and practices that had somehow been passed down across vast distances? Was there an ancient, transcontinental culture capable of spreading ideas that crossed both time and space? The layers of mystery surrounding Monte de Caudi are deepened by the unusual features of the structure itself. In the center of the platform lies a large, flat, altar-like surface, often referred to as the sacred stone. This stone appears to have been used for ritual purposes, though what specific rituals were performed is still unknown. The idea that it may have served as an altar for sacrifices or ceremonial offerings is one possibility, but the lack of clear evidence leaves these suggestions speculative at best. Some researchers even wonder if the site was somehow involved in astronomical or celestial observation, with its position and structure aligning with certain celestial events, like the solstices. Could this have been an ancient place for star worship, or a site for divination tied to the movement of the sun and stars? As archaeologists continue to investigate the site, they've uncovered a number of artifacts, including pottery fragments, tools, and animal bones. These objects suggest that the structure was not only a religious or ceremonial site, but also a center of social and communal activity. The presence of these artifacts hints at a culture that was deeply connected to both the natural world and the spiritual realm. But while the artifacts provide valuable clues, they also raise more questions. Who were the people who created Monte de Caudi, and what was their worldview? How did they see the relationship between the earth, the heavens, and the divine? Some researchers have suggested that the structure's stepped design was symbolic, perhaps reflecting a belief in the ascent of the soul or the journey from earth to the heavens. This interpretation is not far-fetched, considering the symbolic role that such architectural forms have played in other cultures around the world. The idea of a sacred mountain or a cosmic ladder leading from the earthly realm to the divine is a motif that appears in countless ancient mythologies. From the ziggurats of Mesopotamia to the pyramids of Egypt, the architectural form often symbolizes a connection between the mortal and the divine. While this theory remains speculative, it raises an important question. Was the Monte de Caudi stepped structure meant to symbolize such a journey, Or could it have had an entirely different purpose altogether? Was it a place where the living could commune with the gods, or a platform for ceremonial activities that were of great importance to the culture that built it? One of the most fascinating aspects of Monte Ducati is its sheer isolation. Situated in the rugged terrain of Sardinia, far from the major centers of the ancient world, the structure would have required immense resources and planning to construct. The fact that it exists in this isolated corner of the Mediterranean suggests that the builders were deeply committed to the site, and perhaps had a purpose in mind that we have yet to fully understand. Was the structure built by the island's early inhabitants alone, or was it the work of outside influences, perhaps from other Mediterranean civilizations, or even beyond? Could this site have served as a focal point for a larger, now lost network of megalithic structures spread across the island and beyond? As with many ancient sites, the purpose of Monte Ducati remains speculative. Though researchers continue to piece together the story of this enigmatic monument, there is no definitive answer as to what it was originally used for. Was it a temple, a religious site, or a place for social gatherings? Was it related to the agricultural calendar, marking the passage of time through celestial alignments, or perhaps a place where important rituals and ceremonies were performed? The mystery surrounding Monte Ducati deepens when we consider the possibility of its age. If it was constructed as far back as 4000 BC, as some scholars suggest, that would make it older than many of the most famous ancient sites in the world, including the Great Pyramid of Giza and Stonehenge. Could this place have been part of a much older tradition of monumental construction, one that has since been lost to history? Were there other sites like Monte Ducati that have been lost to time, their secrets buried beneath the earth? Theories aside, what remains clear is that Monte Ducati is a structure that resists easy explanation. It stands as a silent witness to an ancient people whose thoughts, beliefs, and practices are largely unknown to us. Its design, its alignment, and the artifacts found at the site suggest a sophisticated culture, one that had a deep understanding of both the natural world and the spiritual realm. And yet, despite the research that has been done, the true purpose of the Monte Ducati stepped structure remains elusive. Its creators are a mystery, and their motivations are lost to time. As we continue to explore the ancient world, the site of Monte Ducati stands as a reminder that there are still many puzzles left to solve. What we know for sure is that it is a place of profound mystery, one that invites us to ponder the ancient peoples who built it, the reasons behind their monumental efforts, and the enduring power of a structure that has withstood the test of time. What other secrets might be hidden within the stones of Monte Ducati? Perhaps only further exploration will uncover the answers. Tucked away in the quiet hills of Pembrokeshire, Wales, lies one of the most intriguing prehistoric structures in the British Isles, Pentre Ifan. This dolmen, or megalithic tomb, stands as a testament to the engineering prowess and spiritual beliefs of a civilization whose knowledge has largely faded into the fog of history. Rising out of the landscape with an imposing, almost otherworldly presence, Pentre Ifan evokes a sense of mystery and awe. Its towering stones and deliberate construction seem almost out of place in the natural world that surrounds it, as if its builders were striving to reach beyond the realm of the ordinary, crafting something that would stand the test of time, and yet its true purpose remains as elusive as ever. The Pentre Ifan site is dominated by its massive capstone, which weighs an estimated 16 tons. Resting precariously on a series of upright stones, the capstone is a monumental slab that stretches nearly 5 meters long and 2.5 meters wide. It looms overhead, casting a shadow over the site that feels both eerie and magnificent. The dolmen is made up of a series of vertical stone slabs arranged in a semicircle, with the capstone placed above them in a way that seems almost too perfect. The structure sits on an elevated ridge, providing sweeping views of the surrounding countryside, the hills of Pembrokeshire stretching out beneath the sky. The quiet solitude of the area, paired with the monument's majestic yet unsettling presence, makes Pentre Ifan feel like an ancient sentinel watching over the land, a place frozen in time, yet somehow still speaking to those who visit it. Constructed around 3500 BC, during the late Neolithic period, Pentre Ifan belongs to a class of structures known as portal tombs or passage graves. These tombs are typically composed of large stones arranged to create a chamber, with a corridor or passage leading into it. The purpose of these tombs was likely to house the dead, often with the intention of preserving their remains for some form of posthumous reverence or spiritual transition. In fact, Pentre Ifan is often described as a burial monument, but this description does not entirely capture the complexity of the site or the significance it might have held for its creators. The exact function of Pentre Ifan is still a topic of much debate among archaeologists. While it is widely accepted that the site was a burial tomb, questions about its broader cultural and ceremonial purposes remain unanswered. Some researchers believe that it served as a focal point for the community, a place for ancestor worship or rituals that linked the living with the dead. Others suggest that the dolmen may have had an astronomical function, aligning with celestial events such as solstices or lunar cycles. The precise orientation of the tomb seems to suggest a connection to the movement of the sun, but whether this was a deliberate design or a coincidence is not yet clear. One of the most captivating aspects of Pentre Ifan is the way it stands against the natural backdrop. The capstone appears to be almost delicately balanced, defying the expectations of structural stability. One cannot help but wonder, how did the builders, without the modern tools and technology we possess today, manage to position such a massive stone so perfectly? The sheer effort and ingenuity required to construct such a monument, moving enormous stones across rough terrain, arranging them with meticulous precision, suggests that the people who built Pentre Ifan were no strangers to complex engineering, perhaps with a deep understanding of geometry and physics that we still do not fully appreciate. It is also worth considering that Pentre Ifan might have been part of a wider network of similar megalithic structures scattered throughout the British Isles and beyond. Sites like Newgrange in Ireland, Stonehenge in England, and Maeshowe in Scotland share certain architectural and ritualistic similarities with Pentre Ifan, indicating that these ancient cultures may have been connected by a common set of beliefs, practices, or traditions. Some researchers have even speculated that the builders of these structures were part of an advanced, pan-European civilization whose knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and construction methods might have been lost over time. Could it be that the inhabitants of this isolated region of Wales were part of a much larger, more sophisticated network of people who shared similar customs and technologies? Or was the construction of Pentre Ifan the work of a local, isolated culture with no outside influence? Adding to the intrigue surrounding Pentre Ifan is the fact that the site is so well preserved, with the capstone remaining in place despite millennia of weathering. This level of preservation suggests that the monument may have been of great importance to its builders and their descendants, perhaps even serving as a marker of sorts for generations to come. The placement of the capstone itself is remarkable. Resting delicately atop 3 standing stones, it appears to balance with an almost perfect symmetry. The fact that this structure has remained intact for so long, despite the ravages of time and the forces of nature, lends an almost mystical quality to the site, as if it were purposefully designed to endure through the ages, awaiting rediscovery. Despite the remarkable preservation of the dolmen, there is little to suggest that it was ever fully excavated or understood in its original context. Archaeologists have found some evidence of human activity around the site, including a number of burial objects, but no definitive records remain of its original use. The lack of written records from the period only deepens the mystery. What were the rituals and ceremonies associated with the site? What role did the tombs play in the spiritual or social lives of the people who built them? As the years go by, researchers continue to explore these questions, often revising their theories as new evidence is discovered. For example, a number of studies have suggested that Pentre Ifan was not just a tomb, but a ceremonial center, a focal point for larger community gatherings, festivals, or rites of passage. Its elevated position and commanding views over the surrounding land may have been symbolic, reinforcing the idea that the builders of Pentre Ifan believed in the power of the landscape itself. Could it be that they saw this place as a connection between the world of the living and the world of the dead? Was it intended to align the dead with the cosmos, or perhaps to link the community with the power of the earth and sky? Some researchers have even proposed that Pentre Ifan was connected to astrological practices, possibly serving as a site for observing celestial events. The alignment of the structure with the solstices, the positioning of its capstone, and its location at the top of a ridge might suggest that the builders had an understanding of the sun's movement across the sky, and that they used the monument as a tool for marking time, rituals, or seasons. Did the structure align with important solar events, such as the midwinter sunrise, marking a time for rebirth, renewal, or divine favor? The mystery of Pentre Ifan is compounded by the fact that much of its history has been lost to time. Unlike some other well-known megalithic sites, Pentre Ifan was not part of a large documented culture, and little is known about the people who built it or the specific customs associated with the site. We are left to wonder, who were these people, and what was their worldview? What did they believe, and how did they use this monument to connect to their ancestors, to the earth, or to the stars? What secrets might still lie buried beneath the ground, waiting to be uncovered? Ultimately, the mystery of Pentre Ifan remains just that, an enigma wrapped in stone. While archaeologists and historians continue to search for answers, the site endures, a quiet sentinel of an ancient past. Perhaps it is fitting that Pentre Ifan should remain a place of mystery, a monument to the unknown, standing resolutely against the winds of time. It invites us to ponder the questions it raises, to consider the ancient minds that crafted it, and to wonder what knowledge they might have possessed that has long since faded into the shadows of history. What was the true purpose of Pentre Ifan? What other mysteries might this ancient site reveal in the future? Only time will tell.